Today I have an insane video for you. I wasn't actually sure whether to make this or not because I'm going to give away so much, but I decided to go through with it. I don't know how long this video is going to be, maybe 1-2 hours, but I'm literally going to break down everything that I've done with my agency acquired to go from 0 to consistent 50 to 100k months, right? And now without even having to work more than 10 to and now without even having to work more than 10 to 20 hours per week. This sounds absolutely crazy, but I've been able to do it, right? We've got Stripe screenshots that show, we've got striped screenshots that show, I think this was in 6 weeks actually, I made £100,000, with my top day being £13,200 in one day, right? And I literally started this from 0 18 months ago, and I spent a lot of time learning all of these things. I'm going to break down for you step by step today. So buckle in, get a notepad, get a pen and paper, because I wish I knew this stuff. Because I wish that I knew this stuff when I started. Okay, so let's get into this. So if you're looking to sign 3 to 5 new clients every single month consistently without having the fear of not knowing where your next placement will come from, so if you're looking to sign 3 to 5 new clients every single month consistently without the fear of knowing where your next client will come from, then this document, this 50-page document, will be the holy grail of your client acquisition. Okay, we're gonna cover exactly how you can start your agency, improve your client acquisition, get leads consistently, learn how to properly use cold email to get clients, learn how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to attract more clients, and set up the systems to automate your acquisition process. But before I get into that, I need to make sure that you understand that this document will not be for every agency owner and coach, okay? This is not for you if you don't want to sign more clients. This is not for you if you don't want to learn how to implement proper acquisition processes into your business, right? And this isn't for you as well if you don't have 5 to 10 hours per week to put into these systems to sign those 3 to 5 clients, okay? And this is not for you if you do not want to work with specifically tailored clients who actually want to work with you, right? So if you don't fall into any of those buckets, then we can continue to learn how to start and build your lead generation machine, as I've done. You can understand what markets are providing the most opportunities for agencies in 2024 and how to restructure your offer to literally wipe the floor with your competitors. Okay. But before you commit the next few hours to listening to me while I'm telling you I should run, before you commit the next few hours listening to me telling you how I should run your business, why should you trust me, right? Apart from the screenshot at the start, I've actually helped scale other agencies as well. Right, these have mainly been recruiting agencies because this is where my company acquired works with. We've helped the likes of Preston collect $55,000 worth of cash in 90 days using the system, helped Chris identify a new market which he hadn't thought of, and signed a multi-6-figure client on a retained agreement. And we also helped Gareth sign 200k worth of fees in just a few months, right? So it doesn't just work for us. I'm not a fluke. It works for other people as well. But how have we been able to achieve this, right? I'm not a magician. I'm not a wizard. I know my name's Harry and people will say you're a wizard, Harry, but that's not true, right? We just built systems that repeatably work. Right? We work exclusively with our niche of clients, which is staffing and recruiting. But I'm going to teach you how to define your own niche today as well. But anyway, enough about me. I don't want to continue talking about me or my company. I'm going to share with you in this document the exact blueprint, right? How we were able to scale to a 7-figure ARR in less than 13 months. The first part of all of this, we're actually getting into the value now, is the offer. The offer will literally make or break your business. You need to put a lot of thought into this. If you haven't already and you've already started your agency, it's well worth going through this, because it might seem like a step back, but if you don't get your offer right, you'll be limited to like 10, 20, 30K, and you'll be stuck there wondering what's going on, why you can't sign more clients, okay? But before we understand the solution of this offer, we need to understand the problem. Why is it a problem? Okay, so if you can't sign clients or can't sign clients at the scale that you want to, there's 2 things at play here usually, right? It's either your offer itself, which we're going to go into, or the market. Now I'm going to Now I'm going to suggest solutions for both of these, but sometimes the offer alone is not. Now I'm going to suggest solutions for both of these, okay? But a lot of the times it is the offer itself, right? I'm also going to show you how the market can make a huge difference and how me picking the right market allowed me to scale exponentially. But anyway, let's get into the offer, right? So you can see the solution of all of your problems. You've just got one thing standing in the way, and it's the problem itself, right? Which is comprised of the offer and the market, right? And both of these can be solved with blue ocean strategy, right? So let's break it down. Let's go to the fundamentals. Before we go into blue ocean strategy, let's go into the fundamentals of what is an offer. Okay, an offer is your value proposition, how you portray what you do to a cold audience, so someone who doesn't know you. Okay, you can think of this like your elevator pitch, and your offer must be clear and tangible and concise. Okay, so when you're creating your offer, here's some things to consider. Ask yourself, what do you currently sell? Ask yourself who you currently sell it to, and how does this help your audience achieve what they want? How quickly can you get results, and what happens if they don't get results? All of these are comprised of your offer, so write down an answer for each of those. Now, when presenting your offer to a cold audience, you need to make it cold friendly. A cold audience is someone who has no idea who you are, never met you before, never watched any of your content. They don't even know you, okay? You need to make an offer that is cold friendly. So even if you were to offer your solution to someone who's never ever heard of you before, they would be interested. And this is what we've mastered at Acquired, okay? So this is where most agencies go wrong, or recruiters in this. So this is actually where most agencies go wrong. You may have an offer or a pitch that works really well in your network and people you already know, but as soon as you start sending out emails, LinkedIn messages, DMs, everything crumbles. You get zero interest, right? Because your offer is not cold friendly. So an example of a not cold friendly offer, this is in the recruitment space, but it's saying, hey name, hope you're well, when blah, 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 talk about myself, right? And then say, oh, it looks like your company's growing. I have the experience and the network to help you fill your positions. So once again, this is a recruiter example, but you can see what I mean. It's, I hope you're well. When I done this, this is what I do. Look at me, okay? And you might read that message and think, oh, that's awful. But you probably have a message somewhat similar to this. So let's just strip it back to the basics and show you how to build a cold-friendly offer, okay? So this is the framework that I use. So it's got 5 variables. You can say, we help so-and-so to do blank, by blank, in blank, or blank, okay? So this could look like, we help tech companies to scale an extra 100K a month by placing exceptional talent in 90 days, or you don't pay. So once again, that's a recruitment offer, but it's showing exactly who they help, what they help them achieve, how they help them achieve it, in what time frame, and what happens if they don't achieve it. So this is all grounds covered. It makes complete sense. It's concise, it's tangible, and all the information you need to make a decision is there, okay? You could also say, once again, this is for recruitment, we help construction company owners remove themselves from their businesses by identifying A players to delegate processes to. We do this within 14 days. You only pay it after we've completed it, okay? This will be really easy for a lead gen offer as well, but I'm showing you the recruitment examples, okay? You just need to redefine it to make it relevant to your market and your industry. The key here is to always relate it to the end outcome, how we can actually help the prospect. Okay, if you're struggling to understand what the prospect faces on a day-to-day basis, use ChatGPT to help you, because you want to talk to their pain points and show them another way, right? And show them that end destination, because this is what people are interested in. Because this is what people are interested in at the end of the day. People just want to go on holiday. They don't care about what. For example, it's so much easier when you're selling the end goal. It's like a holiday, right? You sell the destination, you sell the beach, you sell the cocktails in the holiday bar. You don't sell the plane ticket, right? It's exactly the same with business and with lead gen, okay? You need to sell the end outcome of what you do, not really how you do it, because people don't care at the end of the day. That's the truth, right? So when you're creating your offer and you're creating your message, it should tick these 4 boxes. You should make it sound new, because this will help position you as unique and in a one-of-one, right? This means you're in your own market and you literally do not have competitors. In other words, it will decommoditize you, right, and put you in a bracket of one-on-one. So make your offer sound new. Use a new mechanism that people haven't heard before. Frame it in a new way. Offer something new, okay? The other thing you can do is make it easy for people to understand. Now, yes, you can have a new offer, a new mechanism, but you don't want to make it sound like Albert Einstein wrote it, okay? You want it to be understandable by pretty much anyone, definitely by a 16 or an 18-year-old, right? So if an 18-year-old would understand it, so would anyone else. And this is how we got to think about it in our offer, because there's another fundamental rule of sales: a confused mind will never ever buy. So you need to make your offer easy to understand, okay? Another thing that a cold prospect is looking for is a safe offer. Why would someone who doesn't know you want to bear some risk and send you, $3,000 on Stripe when they don't know what's going to happen if you can't achieve what you say you can? So you need to have some sort of guarantee, some sort of risk reversal, some sort of social proof, some sort of reference. You need to make it safe for the other party. Sometimes this is just negotiation with price. Sometimes it's references. Sometimes it's guarantees. But as long as there's some safe aspect to it, where the prospect feels like they will get what you're saying they will, then that makes a great offer. And another thing is to make your offer big, to get someone excited about working with you. Now, this is the trap I think a lot of agency owners fall into. They're sometimes too modest with their offer, right? And they're offering the same thing that every single other person will. Now, regardless or not whether an agency can fulfill on this, it's certainly more exciting hearing that you can get 1,000 sales calls in a month than 30 to 50, right? You can use that of how you wish, but it's certainly better to have a big, bold promise than something that's not that exciting. This is to a cold audience specifically, okay? So once you've created your offer and ticked these 4 points, making it a new offer, making it easy to understand, making it safe for your prospect, and making it big and exciting, you need to start distributing out to a market. So this is where we start going into the blue ocean strategy and finding the market that you can go out to. Okay, so before we actually look at the blue ocean strategy, you need to understand the market forces, because this is fundamental to the success of your business. Truly is. Because no matter how good your offer is, no matter how good your service is, if the market is not in your favor, you simply will not grow. For example, right, there was a company in the newspaper publishing space. They thought they were growing, they were winning market share, but the market was shrinking significantly, right? And despite them being the industry leaders with the best service possible, they simply could not survive, and their business actually went out of business, despite being the market leader and growing in terms of market share rapidly. But they were selling newspapers, and everyone's doing stuff on their phone, on their laptop now. So it doesn't actually matter how good their business was. The market forces were against them, and there's certain markets like that now. Okay, you can see there's a bit more detail here. They were one of the biggest newspaper chains in the whole of the US and went out of business, right? Because people simply were not using them, right? And the other extreme is, for example, meal delivery startups in COVID, when no one could physically go to the restaurant and everyone was ordering food. If you were a meal delivery service, you were booming then, right? And it's the same with healthcare equipment and those masks, right? They were just in the right place at the right time in the right market, and the market led them to success. It wasn't because their product was incredible. It's just because people needed it badly, right? And these are examples of underserved markets, right? So I've given you an example of some markets there, but truly what is an underserved market at its core? We need to understand this before we can go into one. Right? So I've explained how some companies can grow rapidly while others, fight an uphill battle and eventually go out of business. And it's because some markets are underserved. And I first came across this actually when I was in school studying business studies, right? So I was really excited for this class. I thought, I'm going to learn how to be a CEO, run a business, make a ton of money, all of this. Right? And I remember walking into the first lesson, and it was called Finding a Gap in the Market. I wasn't quite sure what this meant, and I wasn't quite sure of the importance of it with regards to how I was going to be a business owner and make a ton of money, but I went through it anyway, right? And what it taught me was actually, if you're one of one and you're providing something that no one else is, it's going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. Now, you don't have to necessarily find a gap in the market. You just need to find markets that aren't being served too much. And it makes it so much easier to find that gap, right? Because there's not a ton of people offering the same solution. And it means that you don't have to be anything crazy and you can still sell a ton. Okay, so this is literally blue ocean strategy. So you've got two polar opposites. Everyone right now, for example, in the agency space, SMMA, selling to drop shipping, e-com, all this, it's red ocean strategy because you're competing with hundreds, if not thousands of people. The only way you can win is by beating the competition, and you need to exploit existing demand, okay? And you have to make that value versus cost trade-off. So if you're in the market with hundreds, if not thousands of other people, usually the only way you can compete is with price, because your service can't be that much better than hundreds of other people. There's going to be some other people who have the same level of service, right? And just due to the noise in the market, you're going to have to win one way or another, which usually comes down to price. That's a red ocean strategy where there's too much competition. Now, what we're talking about with these underserved markets is blue ocean strategy, where you can create an uncontested market space. There's not many other people competing with you. Competition is actually irrelevant, and everyone's competing on value, allowing you to charge higher prices, okay? So in order for us to find an underserved market, we need to find an uncontested market where competition is bad, and we can create demand with new offers and compete on value, okay? So I identified each of these points and actually found an underserved market where there was little to no competition. This literally meant my outreach, when I started doing my outreach to start my business, would go literally 5 to 10 times further. Okay, I noticed when I was reaching out to recruitment companies, I would get probably 5 times the responses as opposed to marketing agencies, because everyone was targeting marketing agencies, no one was targeting recruitment companies. Okay, so this shows the power and importance of finding these underserved markets. But how do we do this, right? So identifying an underserved market, you need it to tick all your boxes. So I've given you a checklist here of things you can look for with an underserved market, right? The one that I found ticked all of my boxes, okay? They lacked innovation. They were in a lot of pain in their current situation. There was a lack of competition, and they were a niche audience, meaning you have to understand their lingo to get in with them, right? So if you learn the lingo, it's much easier to get along with these companies and they understand you and vibe with you better, okay? A niche audience can also be a barrier to entry. So you can change this for a higher barrier to entry, right? But there's a priority of these, okay? There's ones you need to focus on first more than others. And the number one thing is pain, right? Because if you can find a market that's in extreme amounts of pain and high amounts of pain with not many people solving that pain, you're going to make a ton of money. It really is the example of when you sell to a starving crowd. You can sell the worst food ever and people will gobble it up, okay? Whereas the opposite would be if people aren't really that hungry, they're satiated, and you're selling the nicest food in the world, you'll do well. Don't get me wrong, you'll do well, but you actually won't do as well as really, really bad food in a truly starving market, okay? So you've just got to think about your business as a mechanism to solve the problem in the market. So you want to go to the market where there's the biggest amount of problems possible and the least amount of people solving them. So this is literally determines the size of your business. If you want to take your business to the next level, or you want to grow a huge business, you need to find a market with a huge problem that not many people are solving, okay? Because if you look at the biggest companies in the world, Amazon, SpaceX, Apple, they're all solving big problems in huge markets with urgent problems, okay? They need to be solved quickly. So the checklist that you can look out for is figure out competition. Find markets with low competition. How can you do this? Do some competitor analysis. Simply ask ChatGPT, how many marketing agencies are there in the UK targeting real estate agents? Compare that number to recruitment agencies. Compare that number to another market, okay? So just figure out the levels of competition and map this out. Then you need to figure out the unmet customer needs. So what percentage of these companies in the space are still looking for more solutions? In the recruitment market, it was very high, okay? there was a lot of companies still looking for solutions with unmet customer needs, even though there were some competitors there. Another one is a lack of innovation. This just means that your business can go so much further. If you go into a market and people are literally in the Stone Age, using the phone for everything and just not using any automation, you can make a huge impact because of leverage. You can use more leverage in your campaigns, in the way you run things, your operations, and also to impress the market. So find some older school industries. They're usually far less sexy, far less flashy, and far less talked about. But if you can find markets that lack innovation, you're going to go way further. Also, you want to go to relatively large markets. If you go to a market where there's only 200 companies in there, it's going to be very hard to truly dominate. It's going to be very hard to truly scale. You can dominate that market and you can do well, but it depends how big you want to grow, okay? Then you've got other things such as audience that are price insensitive. So if you work with companies that genuinely make a lot of money, then they're going to be somewhat price insensitive to marketing solutions, which is probably what you're selling, right? But the difference between $1,000 a month and $8,000 a month for a big company is really, honestly, not that much. Of course, it's eightfold, and of course, it's a difference. But if they're turning over millions of dollars a year, and you can help them increase that by 10%, you can charge much higher, right? And they're more price insensitive, which makes it easier. Then, of course, you've got geographical gaps. So this actually happened, I believe, with dropshipping. I don't know anything about that, but I saw a lot of people using a strategy where they would sell the same product to European countries because no one else is selling it there. It's exactly the same with marketing. If everyone's targeting US, UK, Australia. In fact, Australia is the underserved market, in my opinion. Not as many people target them. But anyway, you've got to think, is there people targeting specific European countries as much? If not, create a campaign around that and start exploiting that. And then once again, same for niches, same for customer frustrations, emerging trends, different demographics. Also finding companies with limited digital presence. This is why local businesses can be good sometimes, because yes, they might have an Instagram, they might have a Facebook, but they're not really out there attracting loads of traffic, and it means they're not getting reached out to as much. And once again, your messages will go further. And of course, one with potential for high customer loyalty, because you want a high LTV at the end of the day. You want your customers to stay with you so you can continue to charge them and make more money. So all of these things are things you should look for. The most important is really the competition, the innovation, and the unmet customer needs. So that's what I'd focus on. This is a walkthrough of how I would find an unsaturated market. So say, for example, you're a fitness coach selling diet plans and workout routines, and you want to find an underserved market. What I do here is pretty simple, okay? So instead of targeting fit, healthy people in the gym, as honestly I think most PTs do, the underserved market would be appealing to the audience in the most amount of pain, as we've just discussed, right? The audience with the least competition, the most unmet customer needs, the biggest lack of innovation, etc. And this market would actually be this market would actually be to target the middle-aged, overweight men in a corporate setting who have a family. That's niche, that's specific. They're in a lot of pain in this current situation. They want to be able to play with their kids. They want to be able to, impress their wife, all of this stuff. They're a huge market. There's plenty of them. And there's not tons of competitors who are specialized in this field. So you can instantly start selling to underserved markets if you're a fitness coach and make way more money, because guess what? These people have money as well. They're more price insensitive, which was one of the criteria, and you can start making more money and explode your business, okay? Especially if you frame your coaching as being a time and a cost saver. So it's not just helping them get into shape and lose weight, but you can frame it, if they're a corporate person and they value their time, as being a time saver. Instead of having to cook all these meals, etc., and do it yourself, if you get meal plans, it will save you time. That's one way you can frame it. Another way you can frame it is, do you want to lose weight for your kids to be proud of you, get compliments in the office, also save you money from binge eating on bad foods. You can frame it a million and one different ways, but with the underserved market, you're going to see more success, okay? So to define your own market, I recommend you select one market and niche down here for your offering. It can be hard to make the decision to niche down in just one market, but it will definitely be the right thing to do, because one thing I can almost guarantee you'll get trapped into is thinking the grass is greener. I think this all the time still, and most business owners I speak to still think this, but the grass is not always greener. You just need to find one underserved market and validate it by looking at the data and stick with it. Okay, because then over time you'll start to build content around it and you'll be seen as the trusted advisor that will be able to help that market. So once you have your market, do a deep dive into your market research, list out the pain points, okay, and create like a foundational document around this. What are the pain points of this market? What do they truly need? What do they truly want? What are the other solutions out there? How can you beat those solutions? So it's really, really important that you have a good idea of your market's pain points and their desires, because this is how you're going to speak to them with your marketing message and get them to turn into clients. So step one would be to identify your underserved market to enter. Step two would to create a bespoke offer to this market by understanding the pain involved. Okay, so use a sheet to fill this out and figure out what are the biggest pain points that your market is facing on a personal level. So that example of the middle-aged man in the corporate setting might actually truly be that he wants kids to be proud of him, and you can use that as the offer and it will get way more interest. Okay, and then step three is to find an acquisition channel that suits that market but is being underutilized. So this is a bit of a harder one to get your head around, but this is truly going to make a huge difference. So for example, in recruitment, yes, cold email still works and I still use it to this day. But one thing I learned about recruiters is that they're always on their phone and they use it day to day for work. So it turns out that SMS is an amazing channel to stand out from the noise because it's different to cold email, but it's also getting these recruiters exactly where they are on a day-to-day basis. For the example of the middle-aged man, maybe he's in Facebook all the time, or on Facebook groups, right? And you can target them there. But you just need to do your own research to figure out the acquisition channel that suits the avatar, suits the person you're reaching out to, but isn't being used by everyone and anyone, okay? And then over time, you'll just iterate, perfect your script after you get data from the outreach. So before you start this, there's probably some questions you should ask yourself, right? You've got a list of questions here. Where do they get their current information from online? So you can build a market of where you can reach out to them. It might be Facebook, might be Instagram, might be YouTube, might be Reddit. Just name it down there. Figure out what your prospects' biggest frustrations and challenges are. So this will really, really help you once again with the message. Also, their hopes, their fears, their desires. Okay, figure out what their preferred form of communication is. Do they want to watch videos like this one? Do they want to read articles? Because then you can create content around that. Once again, to help them understand, so they can understand it better, you need to figure out what phrases, exact language, and vernacular they use to speak to them on a deeper level. So this is all just questions that you can answer to really get a deeper understanding of your audience so that they will respond to your messages, okay? So now we've covered that. That's truly how you find underserved markets. That's how you identify underserved markets, and you can go into them and test them out, right? But that isn't going to solve your problem with lead gen. Far from it. You've actually got a few other things to do, right? Because many businesses believe that generating leads is the sole issue of their business. But in reality, there's a whole lot more to it than just finding an underserved market and getting a ton of leads. Okay, so let's actually break this down, because generating leads for your business is like pouring water into a funnel. So this is the funnel, this is the lead flow, and keeping the leads is basically keeping your leads is represented as keeping the water in the bucket. So the level of water in the bucket is how many leads you've got and how much revenue you've collected. Okay, so you see you've got three main bits here. You've got your lead flow coming in, you've got your sales process, which is the funnel, and you've got your retention, which determines how much water stays in the bucket. So many businesses actually have a retention or fulfillment problem or a sales issue, but they believe the cure to all of the problems right? It's maybe finding an underserved market and pumping it with lead flow. But you might have a sales problem. You might be getting tons of leads, but you can't convert them. Or you might have a retention problem. You might be closing a good amount of clients a month, but you can't keep them. So I'm guessing that, it's not you. As an agency owner, you likely have an exceptional product and you want your clients to stay with you a long time. But there's no point So as long as you've got your retention and your sales process dialed in, you can look at optimizing your funnel. So this is what the funnel will look like. This is just simply what the funnel will look like, okay? It will look like traffic that will go into interest. Then interest will book a call, and booked calls will lead to signed contracts or terms signed, and then that will lead to fulfillment. Okay, so we've got a 5-step funnel here. This is literally how it breaks down. What we can do is assign numbers to each of these. So traffic, 20% of your traffic might be interested. And then 10% of that interest might go on to book a call. And you can start to put numbers in terms of how many clients you're going to sign based off how much traffic you got, how much interest you've got, etc. Okay, this is very, very important so it can help you make data-informed decisions. Rather than quick decisions about something that simply is working or isn't working, it allows you to stay rational and create a great funnel that will allow you to swallow up market share over time. So I mentioned cold email. I'm skipping around a little bit here. We're going to go back to how to set up emails properly. But the KPIs to look out for when you do email, okay, and the KPIs for the funnel are as follows. So when you're operating at scale, you should not track your open rate. This is definitely a must do for cold email. Do not track your open rate, and you want to have a reply rate of around 4 to 7%. From this 4 to 7%, you want at least 10% of these at the very minimum to be positive. Okay, 20% is a much better number. But if 10% of your responses are positive, you can make some traction. Okay. Now, at a lower volume, if you're sending under 200 emails a day, and this will just be for bespoke personalized campaigns, then you're going to want to have an open rate of at least 60%. You can track this because you're not doing tons of volume. You want to have a much higher reply rate, 8 to 12%, and you want more of them to be positive. Okay, it's really important to track these numbers because you can identify where the issue is here. For example, if your reply rate is only 1%, it indicates that you're just either your messages aren't delivering properly or your copy is so bad that you're not even getting people to reply to you. Okay. Whereas, say for example, your positive reply rate is 2% instead of 10%, then you know that it's not really the message. You are getting people to respond to you and you're getting your emails delivered, but the problem is the offer. People are not seeing the offer as attractive enough. So then you need to make your offer more attractive. So if you track all of these KPIs along the stage of the journey, you can figure out what's going right, what's going wrong, and put in real action items to fix it. So if you're within KPI, within these numbers, all you need to do is start scaling your campaigns, aka do more input, right? Send more emails, and you'll get more output. So that leads us into really some of the things around cold email and what the fundamentals, like the hard truths around cold email are right now, okay? Because there's some things that a lot of people don't really understand around cold email, and maybe if you're new to the space, you don't quite get it, but these are the fundamentals of cold email in this market right now. So if you have your underserved market, you've figured out your blue ocean strategy, then you just need to make cold email work. And if you can make that work, you'll be onto a winner with a great acquisition channel, turning over a good amount of revenue every month like we are. What we noticed is that cold email is a deliverability game now. It really just matters how your emails deliver in the inbox more than anything. If your emails aren't even delivering into someone's inbox, you're not going to see any success. Okay? And it's very hard to actually make them deliver properly now because of all the restrictions from Google, from Outlook, and things like that. So deliverability is one of the most important things if you're running cold email. Deliverability is literally the ratio of how many emails you send to how many land in your client's inbox. So I've actually created a document on how to keep your deliverability strong. And some of the things you need to look for are volume, syntax, sending patterns, ESPs or email service providers like Outlook and Google, script changes, and avoiding spam trigger words. Okay, so this might look a little confusing, but with volume, you need to keep volume low. Syntax means that every email doesn't look exactly the same. It's a technical thing within your email software that you can put in to rotate certain words to make each email seem different. Your sending patterns need to change. So for example, if you're sending emails at a certain pattern, i.e. every 5 minutes, just 5 minutes on the minute, every 5 minutes regardless, then the ESPs like Google and Outlook will start to pick up on this, and it'll be harder for your emails to send. Another thing is the ESPs you're using themselves. So if you're using a Gmail account or an Outlook account, it's going to be different. You just need to keep an eye on it. I recommend having a 50-50 split of both, half Outlook, half Google accounts, and your emails will perform better. Be sure to always make frequent script changes to your scripts to make sure they're delivering properly, and avoid the spam trigger words, which we'll go into in a second. Okay. The second fundamental truth of cold email right now, if you have deliverability in check, the only other thing really, if you have a half decent offer and you're in a good market, will be volume. So given all else is equal, in a large enough market, the more volume you do, the more leads you'll get back. Okay. And optimizing for volume has allowed our agency to scale extremely fast. And it's the common trait that I see among every rapidly scaling agency out there right now. All they're doing is tons of volume, okay? Because the percentages are going to be roughly the same for each stage of the funnel. Notice how, when we do this, okay, if we're sending over 200 emails a day, it's only slightly worse than if we're sending under 200. So you might be able to squeeze 1 or 2 more leads out of this at the same volume. If you do 10 times more volume, this will always win at scale. Always. Because you can just do so much more. And that's what we're seeing with cold email right now. So you can either spend loads and loads of time making AI personalized everything and send 100 or 50 emails out a day if you're personalizing the hell out of it. Or you can be sending thousands of emails a day with a good offer to a good market, not a spam message at all, just not as fully optimized as the AI version, and you'll get way better results because the volume is the key driver and the key force here. However, obviously you can't use this if you're in an extremely tight market, because if you've only got 500 companies you can work with, you can't be reaching out to thousands of people, okay? So it does depend on your market that you're in. But if you're in a good market, I recommend doing as much volume as possible. Now, one of the tools we use to help us do this is called Smartlead.ai. So you can see Smartlead here. And what we use Smartlead for is to send all of our emails. So we send all of our cold emails through here. This is where we set up our campaigns, run our campaigns, and track the replies. So you can see we track all of our replies in our master inbox here. And we actually do this by basically tagging the response as to what category it is. So if you get an account in Smartlead, you can get, I think, a 7 or 14-day free trial, easy to set up. And what you can start doing is tracking your replies of your campaigns to see how many leads you're getting, right? Here's a little walkthrough of how to do it. You can actually do it with AI as well. So AI will deem what sort of response you're getting back from Smartlead without you having to do it manually. And you can also set up automations such as Zapier, integrated with Slack in the backend, to notify you in your Slack workspace. These are some things that we do for our clients, right?
It's how we automate almost 1 million emails every single month with Smartlead, right? We're going to go over everything on the infrastructure we use, how to set this up, and best practices to actually build the lists and write the copy. So stay all the way to the end because we're going to cover this all. Right, but the first question you're probably asking is, why on earth would you need to send almost 1 million emails every single month, right? To break this down simply, in the world of outbound prospecting, you probably know, if you're watching this video, that volume is key, especially if you're in tough markets or you're actually an agency that runs outbound for other companies, right? So you need tools that will allow you to send high volumes of emails efficiently and consistently, right? I just plotted some metrics here. This is typically what we want to be getting right across our clients. Across everyone, 50 positive replies every single day. You don't need crazy metrics to do that, but if you work it back, we get about 1,500 positive replies monthly with a 10% positive reply rate and a 2% reply rate, right? So we work back the numbers. That's how many emails we need to send to get the numbers that we want, okay? So sending this volume is usually comprised of 3 core parts. We need a really good email infrastructure that will actually withstand and uphold this level of volume that we need to do. We need to include some Smartlead automation there, because it's not going to be fun setting all these accounts up by yourself. And then we need the correct setup so that email accounts we've got hooked up are actually sending properly, we're getting good volume out there, and we're adhering to all the best practices, so we're staying far away from the dreaded spam folder. Okay, so getting into email infrastructure, in my opinion, there's way too many options out there in the market, and I believe the majority are actually shiny objects. So we stick with the classics, Outlook and Google, split them 50-50 to spread risk. So say, for example, you want to send maybe 5,000 emails a month, right? Say, for example, that's about 250 emails a day, roughly, right? And you've got accounts sending at 20 emails per day. Maybe you need 25 accounts there. And say, for example, you've got email accounts that are sending about 20 emails per day. You probably need around 13 email accounts to be able to do that. So what I'd do if you want 13 email accounts is split it 50-50. I'll probably create 7 domains and have 2 email accounts for each. 4 domains on Google, 3 domains on Outlook, for example. Just have it completely just have it spread 50-50, right? So if your Outlook ones aren't performing, then hopefully your Google can carry, etc. But what we usually do is we have a formula. If you need to do a certain volume, right, if you need to do a certain volume, at least get 20 to 30% more accounts than you actually need to account for emails going bad, probably running into issues, that sort of thing. So if you actually need 7 domains, I'd usually get 10. If you need 10, usually get 13 or 14, just to keep your accounts safe, right? Because you never know, it will happen in this day and age where your email accounts go bad and they go down, and you don't want to be running into that issue, especially if you're providing solutions for clients, right? So stick to Outlook, stick to Google. There's of course a lot of third-party providers or resellers out there. We've never had the best results with those. So of course, there's a lot of third-party providers and resellers and things like that out there if you want to really, really reduce costs. But of course, you pay for what you get, right? If you want slightly higher quality, more reliability, then I would always recommend Outlook and Google. If you do want your accounts to maybe be short-lived or just, work for a month or 2, then maybe use a third-party provider, but it's not always recommended. Yes, of course, these will take longer than third-party provider accounts to set up, because you won't have all of the automation running in the back end that the reseller is doing for you to create the DNS and get everything hooked up. So you either need to create these automations yourself or get a virtual assistant or someone on the team to do this for you, okay? But it's really important that you do manage this if you're running an agency, because quality assurance is going to be key. If you're leaving everything with a third-party reseller or a third-party provider, then all of the risk is there, right? And if you're running an agency, that's typically not advised, because they hold all the power, they hold all the keys, and if something goes wrong, you won't be able to step in and fix it. So it's better for you to own your accounts, you to own your domains, and set everything up yourself, although it takes slightly longer. The way we actually create all of our accounts is through RDS, or remote desktop servers. This means that we basically have different IPs every time we create new accounts on email, and it just looks more realistic and human-like, right? Than if we set every account up under the same IP address, etc. Then, if you have a problem with one IP address, maybe all of your accounts will go down, and it's just a huge risk again. Like I say, with this level of volume, the whole thing is around reducing risk, because you will run into issues with cold email, that's a given, However, if you reduce risk, you're less likely to have clients go down, you're less likely to run into issues, this sort of thing. So slightly more expensive and it's slightly slower, but it's all about risk reduction at this sort of volume, right? And Smartlead really helps with that. So the other thing we do is we actually use a software called AirWallets. And what this does is it creates new cards, like new credit cards, virtual ones, that we can host all of the admin accounts on. So basically, if one admin account gets shut down for, say, we're doing too much volume, and that card is related to it, it could affect the other accounts as well. So once again, risk reduction. The infrastructure we use is using virtual cards for each of the accounts. So we keep it separate and we stop them basically getting shut down, okay? Now that's pretty much what we do for email infrastructure. Super basic. Sorry, there's not any, magic revelation there with a new third-party provider to use. Email, Outlook, and Google will always be the best ones to use long-term, so stick with those. Now, hooking your accounts up to Smartlead. Once you've created all those accounts, or your team has, there's no point going into Smartlead and hooking them up one by one. I'm going to show you exactly why not, because it will take way too long. So what you can do, instead of hooking them up one by one, what you're going to want to do is basically add accounts in a CSV, right? So we've got the option here, is you can drag and drop a CSV file of all your accounts. So you'll need to basically fill in the template that Smartlead can provide. You'll put in your email, your password, the IMAP, and all these other different basically variables that you will have access to. And you can upload the CSV so it connects all of your accounts at once, which will save you tons and tons of time. All right. Now, once you've got those email accounts actually hooked up to your Smartlead account and they're ready to go, you need to ensure that you've got the correct setup, because if you don't have this, everything else will go wrong. Okay. So the way we do it is we only send a maximum of 20 emails per day per inbox. If you do more than this, it's very likely you'll get put into spam and you'll run into issues. You'll burn your domains, and you'll just need to constantly create new accounts and new domains, which can get very expensive. So we want to try and maximize the longevity of these accounts as much as you can. And the way that we do that is by only sending a maximum of 20 emails per day per inbox. Okay, so if you have 100 inboxes, then you can send 2,000 emails. If you've got 10, you can send 200 emails. But yeah, we basically just want to send a maximum of 20 emails per day per inbox. All right. And the other thing is I've seen this with some campaigns run into issues. If you don't have sufficient time delay in between sending emails, then the systems can flag that as well. So just ensure in the Smartlead settings as you run the campaign, you've got sufficient time delay in between your emails being sent out, right? Now, once you've got everything set up, you've created your email infrastructure using Outlook or Google, or split it 50-50, and you've hooked up your accounts to Smartlead, then it's time to finalize this, right? And how you do that is by building a great list and having a high converting script to use. So to build a great lead list, what we actually do is use clay.com, right? Clay allows us to build hyper-targeted lists with the use of AI. And the best bit about Clay is that it's so efficient. You don't need to export a CSV and then go into Smartlead and upload it. You can literally just push your data from Clay directly to Smartlead without having to export anything. So it just increases efficiency massively. It reduces time and all the other benefits, right? So I'd recommend Clay. You can also use the likes of Apollo and scrape LinkedIn and things like that. But if you're going to use Clay, it's the most streamlined, effective way to do it, okay? Now, once you have the lead list inside of Smartlead, and you've got everything ready to go, all you need is that high converting script. Now, if you watch the last video that I put on this channel on Smartlead, you can see how I build a great cold email script that allows me to book a lot of calls every single month and get you good high conversion rates, right? So those are the last two things that you need to do once you've got everything set up. But that's effectively how I use Smartlead.ai to automate almost 1 million emails sent every single month and get great positive replies and book tons of calls through it. So have a look through these things, create your own email infrastructure, set things up using the Smartlead automations, and get all of the right setup created. Smartlead makes it super easy for you to do this. You can literally just go into the setup tab in the campaign and choose your settings like this, right? So if I go into the email campaign here, for example, and all I need to do is go to setup, and you can see we've got all of this. So we can hook up our sending campaigns. So you can see we've got this in the setup section. You can hook up all the accounts you've created and connected to Smartlead. You can schedule your campaign with a specific time zone and put in the time delay. You can say how many emails you want to send out per day as well. And then you've got some campaign settings as well, such as not tracking email opens, not tracking links, which we actually don't do, by the way. So I would tick both of these. I'd also send your messages or emails just as plain text without HTML. That will help as well. I typically wouldn't do 100% follow-ups. I would usually do about 70% new leads, 30% follow-ups. New leads are going to provide better results, and finish off these, right? So I'd then save this, connect the accounts, and get everything ready to go. And then all it will be is uploading that lead list, making sure that script is in there, and monitoring the data to see we're getting the right sort of metrics, we're getting good reply rate. If we're not getting good reply rate, then usually either copy or the email accounts themselves are an issue. If you are getting good reply rate but not positive reply rate, then it's definitely just the copy that's an issue. And then if you're not getting enough booked calls from your positive replies, then it's more the setting process that's the issue. But anyway, I'm sure that'll be a topic for another video. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. I 100% recommend using Smartlead to automate your emails, especially if you're sending thousands every single month. And I'm sure I'll see you on the next one. So thanks for your time. Okay, so this is literally a step-by-step guide on how to create the number of email accounts and domains that you need to achieve your goals with this outbound process. So I'm going to go through everything: buying the domains, setting up the domains, hooking them up to the platform, verifying them, absolutely everything you're going to need. And it's all in this step-by-step SOP guide, right? So if you ever have your team that need to do this, or a virtual assistant, just get them to watch this video and follow this guide and you won't go wrong. Okay, so I'm going to literally walk through it step by step now. So buckle in and enjoy the ride. So if we go to GoDaddy, this is where we're going to start. It all starts from getting the domain. So we're going to search for a domain and buy the domain that we want. So if I go to GoDaddy, we can see that I've actually got 8 in my basket currently, right? So these are ones that I'm having a look at purchasing. However, haven't purchased them yet. The way to add them to your basket would just be to simply put them in the search bar. For example, let's put acquired teamvideo.com. Oh, if I just get rid of this, acquired team video, there's a nice cheap one there, right? So if I wanted to do that, I'd just click make it mine and add it to my basket. Then I could add a few more and add them to the basket. We typically recommend 10 domains, which will create 20 email accounts. So what I'll do is I'll just continue to my cart. So I've added it at the bottom there, just change this to 1 year and continue to my cart. So you can see I've got the 8 others that I just mentioned in there as well, which I can purchase. So once I've got them all in my cart, obviously we proceed to checkout, we purchase those domains. Then of course you need to enter your billing information. Once we purchase those domains, if you go to your GoDaddy account, sign into your account, you're going to want to be signed into your account. So if I just sign into my account here, I'll find my domains, and you would need to create an account by purchasing the domains anyway. So I'm just going to verify quickly my account and I'm in. So this is great. So what you want to do once you're in your account, you purchase those domains, you just click on my account, domains, and you'll see all the domains you have here. So of course we'll have quite a few. We've got around 400 sitting in here, which is great. So we want to add the DNS settings now. So with the domains you've just purchased, for example, I'm just going to type in acquired and find my domains. Then we're going to want to click on this little 3 dots here and click edit DNS, right? We're going to want to do this for each of them one by one. So let's go into this one, for example. Let's click edit DNS. And we're going to want to add 3 records: an SPF record, a DKIM record, and a DMARC record. I've listed here exactly what you need to add and how to add it, so that shouldn't be a problem, but I'll walk you through it anyway. So if we go to our DNS records, we see that I have some CNAMEs that I've added for DKIM, and we should have, that's for DKIM. Then we should have a DMARC one here, and then an SPF one here. So I've already obviously added the DNS settings that I need to, but say you hadn't got these added and you're brand new to this account, what you'd do is you'd click add new record and we'd go through step by step. So for SPF, you'd want to add the field as text. So type would be TXT. In the name, what we'd want to do is enter at or leave it blank. I'll just leave it blank. And then in value, what we're going to want to put is literally just copy and paste this. Okay. So copy and paste this, leave TTL as it is, and just click save on that record. Simple as that. Then it's already been added. Okay, so that's how to do the SPF one. DKIM is very, very similar. You'd want to do it just with a CNAME instead of TXT. Add in this, and then go from there. And then the same with DMARC. Once again, a TXT. In the name field, you have underscore DMARC, and I think that's probably best if I take, I'll leave that as is, and then add in this. Now with this, it's important to say your domain. So as you're adding this in, and it'll be the same for DKIM, instead of just copy and pasting the text that says your domain, you'll want to swap that bit out with your actual domain. So basically what I mean by that is the actual text for the DMARC here would be v equals DMARC p none, all the same, DMARC reports at, and then I'll just copy and paste
leadteamacquired.com into the DNS and save it, right? So it's got the domain for each specific record that we put in. So I'm just going to highlight this so you can see that that's what you would swap out, right? Once you've got that done, then you can verify this with MX Toolbox. So I'm just going to put this in here, mxtoolbox.com. You're probably going to want to wait around 24 hours for these to verify. But once you go to mxtoolbox.com, just copy and paste this into your browser, you can see if you've got things set up correctly. So let's put my team to the test and see if they've set up my domain correctly. So you literally just copy and paste in here, click MX Toolbox Lookup, and we'll see that the DMARC's okay. The DNS settings have been basically green ticks. The reason why this one isn't a green tick is because it depends on your policy. So we have like an open policy. We can email anyone can email us, which is what you want for cold email. But of course it gives it a little caution flag. It's not a problem. It's not going to affect your deliverability or anything like that, but it's just something to be wary of. Okay. Once you've got your domain sorted, you've created your DNS settings, everything like that, then you're going to want to create an email account in Outlook. So you're going to want to log into this link here, which is Microsoft Admin Center. Create your own admin. So you're going to create your own admin in here. Let me just show you. Instead of logging into your current one, you want to create a new admin. This has already logged me into one, but you create your own admin, and then you'll start to add users, which will be adding the domains, adding the users. So let me show you how you do this. So so we're currently in here in the Microsoft admin account. So what you're going to do once you're in your Microsoft admin account, you create it for the first time, is look for domains in the search bar. So if you just type in domains and it's in settings, domains, this is where you want to add all of the domains you've just purchased from your GoDaddy. So it'll be as simple as clicking add domain, typing in the domain that you've just purchased, use this domain, and then it will confirm in GoDaddy and you'll be able to connect them. So that way you'll want to basically create about 10 or connect 10 of your domains in here, and then that will be done. Once you've created and connected all of your 10 domains, then it will be as simple as adding users. So this is where we add the actual email accounts for each domain. So once again, it's a step-by-step guide on here, but I'll just walk you through it. So you'll want to add the first and last name for your email account. This is how it will look to the prospect. So maybe you want to put your name. You want to put, for my example, Harry Latos, and then Harry at, and then I can pick any one of the 10 domains that I've basically hooked up. Okay, you can create your password for it, and then simply just buy the license and add the user. The license is around $7 per month, same as for any email account, and you just put that password in, and then that would effectively create the user. So once you've got all of those 20 created, and this might take around 20 to 30 minutes if you're doing it with your virtual assistant is, then you want to save, finish, just basically log out of your admin account. That's done. The next thing you'd want to do from there is log into Smartlead. So log into your Smartlead account that we've created for you, and this is where we want to hook all of the email accounts up to. So go to settings, go to integrations, and this is where you'll add your email account. So if you click on the email account section here and click add account, you'll see there's a Outlook section. So you've created all of your email accounts now. You've got the names of it, Harry at all of these domains, and the passwords. Truly is as simple as just clicking connect account and then logging in to that account that you've just made. And you want to do this one by one by one until all 20 accounts are hooked up. What you want to do from there is make sure that your email accounts are on warmup correctly. So if we go back to Smartlead and I look at these email accounts that I've hooked up for my clients, what you'll see is that I've got them on warmup. So an easy way to do it will be to highlight all of the 20 accounts, as you can see, that you've just added, and we'll click on bulk update and we'll do warmup. This is the warmup status that we recommend. We would click on basically add on or tick the bulk update status. So we want to make sure they're all active. We would typically run around 30 warm-up emails per day and have a ramp up of 5 per day. So this is all default. Then I'll just drag this slider to around 29 or 30 and drag this to around 4 or 5. And we'll be sending anywhere from 4 to 30 emails per day, and it will slowly ramp up. The suggested reply rate we can leave as blank because that will just add the default value. But if you want to, put anything around 20 or 30%. But I typically leave this blank. What then you want to do is just save it, and then all of your accounts will be on warm-up.
As they're warming up, you can check the status of their warm-up by clicking on the email account itself, seeing when it's ready to use for outbound, see how many emails it's sent, see how many have landed in the inbox, and ultimately the health of the account. So you'll just want to monitor that relatively closely for the next 2 weeks as they're warming up. But that should be the full end-to-end process of how to buy your domains, how to connect to them, create that Microsoft admin account, create your email accounts, hook them up to Smartlead, and get them on warm-up. Okay, so hopefully that's helped. The reason why we need so many is to keep our sending volume low per account. So we've got 20 accounts, each will be sending around 20 to 30 emails per day, which would be 400 to 600 emails per day in total. This is the infrastructure we use for 1,000 emails a day. If we want to go that aggressively, of course we can, but we won't need to start, okay? So that's the full step-by-step process. This is a little bit around their DNS settings as well, if that was confusing. You've got everything you need in this document, but hopefully that's been of value, and hopefully you've got that set up correctly.
What's up, smart leaders? So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step tutorial on how to set up the warm-up for your cold email accounts. So obviously, email warm-up is a very, very important part of the process. If you don't warm up your emails properly, they're not going to If you don't warm up your emails properly, they're not going to land in the primary inbox, and you're not really going to see any results from cold emails. So this is going to be a bit more of a basic video, but it's going to be a step-by-step training on how to actually properly set up the warm-up for your accounts. It'll be valuable for everyone because there may be some bits in there that you didn't know, even if you're advanced. But especially if you're a beginner, this is going to go literally from the very start of creating a Smartlead account to adding your email accounts, and then how to actually properly configure the warm-up, right? So I've broke it down into 11 steps, very, very simply. I've got my Smartlead account here, where I'm actually going to be adding an email account to show you exactly how we do it, and then how to turn on the warm-up feature, what settings to press, so it's going to warm up properly, okay? And I'll tell you how long you need to warm it up as well. So let's get into this. So the first step, of course, is to go to Smartlead, right? Log into Smartlead. So the first step, of course, is to actually go to Smartlead. What you want to do from there is log in or create an account. So if you haven't created an account already, it's really, really simple to sign up for. You've just got a sign up button in the top right. You can press that. You can even use a link in the description to create your account. But once you've created that, then you obviously need to log in. From there, you need to navigate to the dashboard. So it looks something like this. You'll have multiple bits on the left-hand side. You'll have email campaign, master inbox you can see. It's got email accounts also. It's got all leads, integrations, client access, global analytics, and smart delivery. So in your account, depending on which plan you've got, you may not have all of these, but the one that we're going to be most interested today is the email accounts section. Okay, so as you open up your Smartlead dashboard, you just need to go to the email accounts section on the left-hand side, and it will show you the email accounts that you have in your account. Of course, if you already have accounts set up, then great, you'll see some. If this is your first time setting this up, then you won't see anything in here, and that's completely normal because we will need to add these accounts in. So that's the third step. Fourth step is to click on email accounts, which I just mentioned as well, to navigate to that. And then we want to actually start adding the email account. So all of this has given us sort of the basic foundations so far to actually add that first email account. So the way you want to do this is you see there's a button in the top right hand corner that says add accounts. We want to press on that and it will give us some options. Okay, it will either allow us to connect our email account that we have already, and obviously I recommend this if you already have email accounts, you've set up domains, you've set up inboxes, then great, we can connect those. Or you can create your own primary inbox optimized infra that Smartlead will do for you. I'm going to show you both options, but the most common option is probably you already have the domains and you already have the accounts, and that's where you'd want to select the first option. Now, of course, it gives you the option again to pick which platform you're using for this, whether they're Gmail accounts, Outlook accounts, or you have SMTP set up. So the common ones, of course, will be Google and Outlook. If you're using those, then it's very simple. All you need to do is press on this and log into your actual email account. I'll show you how you do this. So say, for example, I want to log into my Gmail account. I've just pressed Gmail. Now you need to make sure that you have this OAuth in your actual admin workspace. So if you follow these step-by-step guides, and it's got a quick guide here as well, you can see exactly what you need to do. But effectively, what you need to do is go to your admin panel, if you haven't set this up already, by just clicking on that here, and you shall see, just edit this bit out, So if you go to your admin panel, then you'll probably see nothing configured in here, unless of course you've done this before. Now, what you'd need to do if it's completely empty is actually configure a new app and just simply copy and paste this client ID to add Smartlead. This means that you're basically giving Smartlead permission and authority to send emails on your behalf because it's using the API calls there. So that's what you need to do. Once you've done that, then you can connect your account. If you try and skip this step and connect your account, it will not work. So it's very important you do this. Once you've done that, you press account. If you could blur these out, select your account that you want to connect. And then obviously you'd log in as normal and Gmail. So I'm going to press continue, allow, and it's going to basically allow to send emails from my behalf, of course. And then the account will be added. So that's obviously step number 5. Step number 6 would be to authenticate that, right? So as you go through this process, I think it's just allowed me to add mine straight away. Sometimes if you're using Gmail, using Outlook, especially on new accounts, it will ask you to authenticate it, ask you to verify it, maybe with a number. If you don't have a number and your number isn't working, we recommend using smspool.net, right? So what this does, if you're struggling to get into an account because you don't have a correct number, this will rent you a number for a few minutes for something like 40 cents, 20 cents, and then you can log into any one of your accounts. And it means that your mobile isn't attached to each one of these accounts, which can be handy. That's one way I would do it. And then obviously once you've got that, now it's time to enable warmup, right? So I'm going through this very quickly, so hopefully you're staying along with me. But you can see here that we have a few options. We've got overview in our account, we've got general, we've got warmup, we've got management, and we've got campaigns. I'm just gonna make this larger for everyone watching, right? So the one we're interested in here right now is warmup. Okay, so you need to press on this one here. You can see that these are the default options that it gives us. Now, what I would do personally, this is what we're doing at the moment, is I'd change it to these settings, right? So I'm currently sending around 10 warm-up emails per day. So I've sent 10. I have a ramp up of 5. I have the variability between 1 and 10. Actually, I usually do this between 3 and 10. And then my reply rate is 30%. Okay, so that's what our settings look like at the moment because we start to send a very low volume of emails as well, kind of early. But you want this to be on for at least 2 weeks before you send anything from those email accounts. So take a look at this screenshot if you need it to. This is what we do. 10 emails per day on warm up, a daily ramp up of 5, 3 to 10 variability, and reply rate of 30%. Then all you need to do is press the bottom right here. It says enable warm up, and that will get that warm up. So your mailbox will start receiving warm up emails. To keep your inbox clean, you can use our intelligent filter. So what happens with these warm up emails is they're going to be AI generated, and they're going to be complete nonsense, complete gobbledygook. It's not going to make sense. However, they're going to have a specific keyword attached, okay? And that will be dependent on each account. You can see for mine, I've got rhyme dive. This is the custom filter. So if I wanted to exclude all these warm-up emails from my email account, I would go on my email account, whether that's Gmail, Outlook, or your own server, and I would just get all of the emails, including rhyme dive like this, sent automatically to my archive or to my junk folder, or not necessarily to junk folder or to the deleted folder, so I don't have to see them, right? Or just to another folder that you can rename warm-up emails if you wanted to do that. But that's a good way to keep your inbox clean because you don't want to be having tons of warm-up emails in your account. It will just be a bit of a headache, so you don't want that. Apart from that, we just press that. We can press update, and that warm-up is pretty much good to go. So the reason why we have 30% reply rate, you don't want this too low. It recommends 20. 20 is also fine. But we see the more engagement in the early days you get back of your email account, i.e. the higher reply rate, the better the warm-up usually is. 10 emails per day is a safe sending volume, and then obviously we've added that variability in there as well. So that's step 7. Step 8, obviously we've just done that as well, is customize the warm-up settings. So if you have any questions about why we select the things we do, put them in the comments, but that's how we set our emails to warm up. Then we leave them for 2 weeks in this warm-up phase. Now what you can see as they warm up, should be in this overview section, you'll basically get a track of how many emails you're sending, how many are landing in the inbox, how many are landing in spam, and you'll see the overall health of the accounts. Now this will give you a 2-week basically timeline. So it's the enabled, recording this on the 17th of December. it'll be ready for outbound when it's at 100%, and that'll be in 2 weeks' time. So until then, we need to leave it. We need to continue allowing it to warm up, making sure that everything's landing in the inbox. If it's not, then there's some issues we need to look at, like DNS settings and things like that, to make sure the email account is set up correctly in the first place. But that's what we need to do. So those are email accounts, how we do that. Obviously, I've just mentioned monitor those warm-up analytics across the first 2 weeks. So don't use these for sending in the first 2 weeks, okay? Just get them warming up, because when they're actually warmed up, then we can put them to effective use and we can actually start to book sales calls and get the outcome that we want. But before that, it's too early. You won't get enough replies for Outlook, Microsoft, or the other servers to think there's a well-used email account, okay? Because at the end of the day, cold email replies are going to be low, and you're probably going to get marked as spam more than you would actually like in the first place. Obviously, there's things you can do to get around that, which I'm going to discuss in a second, but it's just important to keep a pulse on these accounts as they warm up, right? So one of the other things you need to do, obviously, is check the authentication. This will lead into the next step, which is obviously like the success. So this will lead into the next step, which is the success, to make sure your account is all ready to go. So technically, just following all of those steps, yeah, your email accounts would be warming up, and in 2 weeks' time, they're good to go. However, much like point 10, there's some things we need to have a look at, which could be DNS. Because the reality is, just warming up your email accounts like this for 2 weeks will not save you from certain things. This will not automatically make your email start working. Because if you don't have the correct DNS settings in there, right, you've got bad DNS, and it's not configured correctly, by the way, which you can check on a tool called mxtoolbox.com. If that's not set up correctly, then what you need to do, if that's not set up correctly, then you just simply will not see success from your campaigns, because they're going to go default to spam, because they're going to go by default to spam. So it's not going to be very easy to manage them. So you need to make sure your DNS is correct. Use this tool to double check that. Another thing that warm-up will not save you from is bad copy. Of course, if you're not writing good copy in your emails, no one's going to reply anyway. It doesn't matter if you're hitting their primary inbox. If your email is not optimized and not compelling enough to get them to reply, you will not get a reply. So I recommend you go and watch the other video that I have on this Smartlead channel about how to actually write effective cold emails to get replies, especially going into 2025. So give that a watch. And then, of course, other poor deliverability practices. So this could be sending volume. For example, you've warmed your email accounts up for 2 weeks. You do not want to go and start sending 50 to 100 emails a day per account from those accounts, because it will just go to spam again. So good deliverability practices looks like starting low volume in the region of 10 to 20 emails per day and slowly ramping up to maybe a tops of 25. Okay, I recommend 20 personally, but you could probably get away with 25. Of course, there's other things as well, like the actual copy itself, not necessarily how compelling the copy is, but keywords you're using. We have a tool called mailmeteorspamchecker.com/spam checker. If I can spell. So we use a tool called mailmeteor.com, and it's mailmeteor.com/spam checker to check if your copy has bad keywords and it will get flagged by the spam filters. Okay, so this is another deliverability practice that you need to put in to make sure your emails will deliver. Another one is spin tax. If you don't know what spin tax is, then I recommend watching other videos on this channel, but it's basically creating variations of your copy so it doesn't get picked up by the filters. And just generally to keep yourself well versed in deliverability practices, because just warming up your accounts and doing the step-by-step that I've shown you in today's video will not save your email accounts and make them start working extremely well. You need to do the other things in conjunction, which is really what all the videos in this channel are for. So recommend watching all of those. But just in terms of today's video, how to actually set up warm-up from scratch, this is the 11-step process I would follow, and that's exactly how you can do it as well if you replicate this video. If you want to go back and watch it again, certain parts of it, as you go and do this yourself, I'd recommend that just so you don't miss anything out. But hopefully this video has been useful, and I'll see you on the next one. So take care. Bye-bye.
In today's video, we're going to be going over how you can set up your very first campaign on Smartlead step by step and get it to the point where we're able to launch it, right? So my name's Harry. I'm a B2B lead gen agency owner, company called Acquired, and this is how we book all of our sales calls, right? So we currently book around 100 to 150 sales calls a month, and we do it with this exact system that we use on Smartlead. So let's get straight into it, let's not waste any time. So first thing what we want to do is we want to define the market for our offer. For example, say we're selling SEO, right? We want to define the market who we're selling SEO to. This is really, really important because literally everything else stems from this. It determines how you're going to build your lead list to find the email addresses. It determines how you're going to write your email copy to actually reach out to prospects. So you need to get really defined with the market for your offer. You can't just have a shotgun spread approach to absolutely everyone in the world. You need to get defined on one specific market. So before you even start creating your Smartlead campaign, you need to define your market. For this example, let's just pretend it's construction companies and we want to target the owners, right? What we then want to do is build our lead list. The way that we do this is using apollo.io. For the most part, this is probably the best place to get started. Once you've got to speed with cold email and you've started launching your first few campaigns, then you can go into more comprehensive tools like Clay. But to start, I recommend using Apollo. So if we go straight into Apollo, you can see that in the search button here, you've got the ability to basically build the criteria of leads that you want to target. For this example, as I mentioned, we'll go for construction company owners. So we'll put in CEO, owner, and founder into the job title section. Nice and easy. And then what I can do is put in the industry and keywords, I can type in construction, right? If you wanted to target something else like marketing and advertising agencies, you could also put that in there, and so on and so forth. You can also put in some details about the size of companies we want to reach out to. Let's say we want to reach out to companies between 50 and 100 in size and companies based in, let's say, the UK. Let's see. Cool. So for all that criteria, we've got 356 CEOs, owners and founders of construction companies in the UK between 50 and 100 in size. So that's very specific, right? You could open that up a little bit. But that's the very first thing you want to do, right? You want to build your list. Next thing you want to do after that is you want to verify your lead list. So to export your lead list, you can either download it straight away from Apollo and just select all of the people here and then export it. Or if it's a much bigger list, say for example, you've got, I don't know, let's take this out and let's say we've got thousands. Let's say we've got 10,000, right? You wouldn't actually want to export this from Apollo because it's just a bit too expensive. What you can do is use a tool like Dropleads that will save you 70% on Apollo. And you can see that if you go to here, you can just basically put in your name, your email, your Apollo search URL, which is really nice and easy. Just copy and paste this into here. Select the amount of leads you want. Let's say for this example, it's 10,000. You can see that the price is $150 for 10,000 leads instead of something like $500-600 if you do it straight from Apollo, right? So that can really help you. But let's say for this example, we want to download straight from Apollo. I'm just going to select first page, 25. What you want to do is hit this button, export, and let's export all email addresses, okay? Because once you've exported all those email addresses, we can then upload them into our verification tool. So let me just download these. So on the left-hand side, you can see there's a section called imports and exports. Go to CSV exports, boom, hit this download button, and your lead list will download. Just taking a second here, and great, we've got it. Right, now what we want to do is go to a platform called Million Verifier. So this is where we verify our email addresses. So step one was building our list, which we done on Apollo. So I'll just put Apollo here so we can keep track. Then verifying our lead list will be using Million Verifier. And this is exactly how we do it. I'll show you. So Million Verifier, what we want to do is literally just upload the file that you just exported from Apollo. Or if you get your data from dropleads.io, then you will also just upload that list. You can see that we've got 500 credits here in this new account we just created. So you should get 500 free credits and it's in progress, right? It says it's got 15 minutes here left. So let's wait and see what it does. In the meantime, we can get on to the next step. So as we're verifying our lead list, so once we've verified our lead list, then we want to actually upload this into Smartlead itself. So before we just upload it into Smartlead, we'll need to create a campaign. So whilst that's just verifying, oh, it's already verified, great. So we can download this and let's go for the good emails only. Boom, you can see we've got 21, so about 84% of the emails we downloaded were good. This is great because it shows as well, if you were just to put in those 25 emails we exported straight from Apollo, you'd get a few bounces, the bounce rate would be pretty high, and it can affect your campaigns and make your emails land in spam. So downloaded that, downloaded the good emails. Now we can go ahead and create our campaign within Smartlead itself. So to do that, all you want to do is go to email campaign here and click create campaign. First step, of course, is to upload our leads. So if we just click on this here, we can upload the file that we just verified, and we can check these 4 things here. So do we want to import our leads even if they're on a global block list? No. So a global block list is, for example, maybe your current clients, people you don't want to reach out to, so we don't want to overwrite this. Import leads even if they're in an unsubscribed list? No, we don't want to do that. If someone's unsubscribed, we want to keep them unsubscribed. Import leads even if they bounced across the entire user database. I think by default this is turned on, so we leave that as it is. And ignore the leads that are in another campaign. Yes, we want to do that. So just click save, and we can map the fields now. So these fields are all basically like the columns we had in the spreadsheet. So we've also got one for first name, last name, title would be a custom field, company, we don't need to put that in because we've got a company name for emails, email address, boom, we need to do that. And then the rest, I'm not really too interested in. I'm not really going to use it in my outreach. If you are, say for example, you want to use the company city in your outreach, then maybe you can map this as location, and I'll show you what that looks like, okay? So remove this, just make sure they all make sense. But as an absolute minimum, what you need to have in your campaign is the first name and the email address. Like that's the bare minimum. I would recommend including a lot more so you can personalize your emails a little better. And this is really important when it comes to using different lead sources like Clay and things like that. But for now, let's keep it nice and simple, as this may be your first campaign. So let's go to next. We can see we've got those 21 leads. Awesome. Now let's skip and proceed because we've already verified them. And that's it. They're uploaded into Smartlead. So now we can go to the next step. So the next step will be to write your copy. So this is where it comes down to actually creating your offer and putting it out to the world. So I've got another video on this channel on Smartlead of how you should write your email copy. So go ahead and watch that one if you haven't already. This will really help you. But just to give you a brief overview, here's what it would look like. Let's say we want to do, hey, first name. So we put in double curly brackets to pull in the variable. I noticed you were running a construction company in maybe location. Hey, first name, I noticed you're running a construction company in Texas, for example. Then you could say, we recently helped another construction company, make sure I can spell this, another construction company reduce their overheads by 37% by using, and then you could say, I don't know, something around different supply, by using different suppliers, right? Or we could, okay, let's cut this bit out again. You could say, so we recently helped another construction company reduce the overheads by 37% through our unique vendor So as a really, really basic script, you could put something like, hey name, notice you're running a construction company in location. Let's make sure we've actually pulled that in. I just want to make sure that's worked. So it's a really, really basic script. You could write something like, hey, first name, we notice you're running a construction company in location. We recently helped another construction company reduce their overheads by 37%. Would you be interested in seeing how? And maybe we can put PS line, PS, this also increased their, PS, this also You could add a PS line like this. You could also add a PS line, like for example, PS, this also allowed them to take on more projects without, and then you could use a specific pain point or terminology of that market. I don't know the construction market at all, so I'm not gonna pretend I do, but it could be this allowed them to take on more projects without having to comply to XYZ regulation or go over. This could be, for example, we allowed them to take on more projects without, this could be, for example, we allowed them to take on more projects. This could be, for example, we allowed them to take on more projects whilst also complying with XYZ regulation that every construction company owner would know, right? So ultimately, you just want to write your copy. You want to make it understandable for the client and also a great offer, okay? So let's just put something like this. And then we want to put our subject line in. So it could be, let's just put first name, reduced costs, for example, right? You wouldn't really want to put cost in here just because it's probably going to trigger spam. So it could just be first name, question mark, and let's put that in there, right? So that's written our copy. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is add spin tags. Awesome. We just wrote our copy. So the next thing we want to do is add our spin tags and check for spam words. So the way that we do this, you can see this is pretty plain right now, right? It's just hey, first name, and it's a very, very basic text. So what you'd want to start doing is adding in spin tags to your message. This basically makes it much harder for the email service providers like Gmail, Outlook, etc. to pick up that your email is a cold email that's being sent at a high volume. So what you'd want to do is put in one curly brackets and then a line here, another variation of that word. So you could put hey, hi. This means every single time you send an email, every other email will be swapping with the word. So it could be hey name, hi name, and it just basically means that the email is less templated to the service. This basically means that the email is less likely to be picked up by spam. Okay, so you could put, once again, noticed, and you could swap this out with saw. So I noticed, I saw you were running a construction company, and you could swap this out with maybe firm. You don't just have to do two, you can add more. So you could put business as well. Right, if you're not sure on this, if you're not sure on what you can spin tags, I recommend just copy and pasting this into ChatGPT and just saying add as much spin tags as you want, and then also obviously check it makes sense for all of the variations, but adding your spin tags will really help. Another thing you can do is go to a platform called mailmeteor.com/spam checker, and you can upload your email in here, and this will tell you how likely it is that to go to spam. So this one looks okay. The only thing that it says it can potentially pick up on is the 37%. So let's just see if you were able to reduce that. So if you're able to remove that, then it looks like it's a great email. But personally, I would still want to keep that in there just because it's a tangible number. It makes it more relatable for the business owner, and they actually get a sense of how much it can help them. So use it to your own sort of degree. But if you're going to put in stuff like, let's just say guarantee, cost, price, free, right? So you got to watch out for words like this. So guarantee looks okay, but cost, price, free, it can be picked up by the spam filters. So you just want to run it by this tool once to make sure it looks all good before you get your campaign live, right? So once you've added in your spin tags, you've checked for spam, you've got your copy, maybe you've added a follow-up as well. Let's say you want to change that to 2 days. Hey, first name, did you see my email, right? Then we can go on to the next step. So we've got our copy, got our follow-ups, everything like that. Then the next step would be to change your campaign settings. So as we go, let's click save and next. Then it gets us to the setup section. So this is where we can actually select the email accounts we want to send from. So you'd need to obviously upload these into Smartlead if you haven't already, and then pick the email accounts that you want to send from. I recommend just setting up Gmail or Outlook accounts to send from, as these will be sort of the most robust over the long term. What you then want to do is go into schedule and set the working hours of your campaign. Say for example, you're targeting US, you may want to put EST time zone, which is New York. Say you're targeting California, then you might want to put that, right? Or it'd be called Los Angeles here. say you're targeting California, then you'd want to pick their time zone as well, right? Same for Australia maybe, right? You can put that in. So basically just pick the time zone of the area that you're targeting. And once again, that comes down to point number 1, to be specific about the market. If you're targeting everyone globally, it may not be as effective as going for specific locations. So pick your time zone. For this example, I'm just going to put in New York. So we've got EST. Set the working hours. I usually leave this as default. I change this to 5 maybe, 9 to 5. And then maybe click on Saturdays if you want to send Saturdays as well. Select your campaign start date. Let's say I want to start it tomorrow. And select a number of new leads to be reached every day per campaign. This depends how many email accounts you have attached to this campaign. But let's say I want to go really high volume, then I can just set this number to 10,000. I won't need to worry about it. It basically means that the email accounts will hit their limit first, rather than hitting my campaign limit, right? So if I only have this as 100, and I've got 100 email accounts ready to go, then my campaign is going to be very much limited. I need to be sending 100 emails a day rather than the actual limit of all the email accounts. So I just, to be safe, set this at 10,000 so I don't have to worry about it. Then you can go to modify your settings. And what I recommend is not to track your opens, not to track your links, and to optimize for email deliverability, right? So force plain text as a content type. Great, so everything's now sending in plain text, no HTML, no links, no pixels, anything like that, okay? And everything else from there is good. So I'm just gonna save the general settings. So this is optimized for deliverability now. So once I've done that, check your campaign settings, then you can do the final review of your campaign. So this is the last section within Smartlead. We've got all of our leads uploaded, we've written our copy, everything like that. So this is how it will read. Hey Jeremy, I noticed you're running a construction company in Bedford. We helped another construction company reduce the overheads by 37%. Would you be interested by seeing how? Right? Say, for example, let's find one where it doesn't pull in the location. I think it's doing a pretty good job for all of them. But you might find one where it doesn't. Here we go. Perfect. So to avoid this, you would basically want to make sure that when you've exported your leads from Apollo or Drop Leads, you'd want to go through the list in Google Sheets or in a spreadsheet. Just make sure you haven't got any empty spaces. If you do, then you're going to pick them up on final review, and you can literally just, let's say we remove this. I notice you're running a construction company, and click save. That means it's going to be saved and sent as this, as opposed to the automatic variable that's being pulled in, right? But most of these look good. And that's great. And you can see that the syntax is swapping out. So we've got hey, hi, right? And then firm, business, stuff like that. So it's gonna be harder for the spam filters to pick up on this. The last thing you need to do once you've uploaded your leads, checked your copy, set up your campaign, and done your final review of your leads is to launch your campaign, right? That's pretty much it from A to Z. Very, very simple. The way to do that is just, well, obviously I'd need to select my email accounts. If I've done that, let's just quickly do this. Let's just select one of these. Boom. And then schedule campaign, and it will start going live from that scheduled date, okay? From there, obviously I can check the data. I can see on a daily basis how many leads I've contacted, how many replies I'm getting, how many positive replies, and I can manage everything from my master inbox. So Smartlead makes that really, really easy. But effectively getting your very first campaign live, or one of your first ones, all you need to do is set up. So to get your very first campaign live and set up your campaigns, all you need to do is define your market for your offer, aka who you want to target, build your lead list using Apollo, verify your lead list using Million Verifier, upload your leads into Smartlead, then you go ahead and write your copy, add your syntax, check for spam to make sure it's all good for sending, change your campaign settings to make sure you're not sending any links, sending anything heavy, it's all plain text. And then you can do a final review, make sure it all makes sense, make sure it all flows, you haven't got any missing variables. As soon as you've done all of that, boom, you can press launch, and just like that, you can start generating leads for your agency, for your software, for your coaching, whatever it might be. So that's it from A to Z, how to set up your Smartlead campaign. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for more content coming from Smartlead, and watch my other videos if you haven't already. Bye-bye. If you are not following up with your prospects, you're literally throwing away money. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna go over exactly how you can set up follow-up sequences in Smartlead that will actually convert.
So this has been tested across 50 plus clients that we're currently working with, and these are the best follow-up sequences that we have today. I'm going to show you a basic strategy and also a more advanced strategy that is going to be more multi-channel. But for most people, the basic standard strategy is going to be very effective, and you won't quite need to do the multi-channel approach. In smaller markets, you might want to, but it's absolutely not necessary. So basically be going over how to formulate a campaign that will effectively never really run out of leads, because that's the issue with a lot of lead gen companies, is if you're working with a client in a quite targeted market, you might run out of leads relatively quickly, right? And that's why the follow-up is so important. If you're constantly just sending one email all the time and then being done with that lead, you're leaving, as I say, money on the table, and there's a much more efficient way to do it. So this is what it looks like from an overview. This is what the workflow would look like. You'd be sending 3 emails in a sequence and then recycling that lead every 45 days. This is what we do to see the most effectiveness from our campaigns, right? So email 1 would just be a standard angle. It could be a direct offer. It could be your lead magnet. It could be another intent trigger you're looking for if you're using Clay, right? But email 1, for example, might look something like this. So hi. But email 1 might look something like this. So hey, first name, add a bit of personalization about something that's on their website or a recent blog. And then I noticed you were hiring for an SDR in location. Is growing the sales function at your company a priority going into Q2? We help companies like yours increase monthly recurring revenue without increasing headcount. We partnered with companies like Amazon and booked them 39 sales calls in just 15 days. I'm confident we could do the same for you. Would this be worth a chat? So it's a pretty standard first email. Obviously, the aim of this video is not to go over that first email, but more actually the follow-up. So once you have that first email and maybe you do a bit of split testing, what you want to do is actually go ahead and add 2 follow-ups. I recommend 2 follow-ups, and a lot of people in the space just have 1 follow-up, but I actually think it's potentially better to have 2. Once again, something we've tested and we've seen a higher response rate overall when we add 2 follow-ups. Okay, so to add these follow-ups in, all you need to do is just add a step, add email, and then configure your follow-up message, right? So what we would put usually in email 2 is a case study, right? So this is really important. When you're sending that first email, you need to make sure it has 0 links in whatsoever, because it needs to land in the inbox. However, if your follow-up is in the same thread, i.e. there's no subject line, which you do want to do, then you can actually put a link in a second email, because the first email is already in their inbox. So if you're replying to the first email, you can actually add links and things into the second email without having to re-enter the primary inbox. So it's just a little hack that we use, and it's really effective because we can say things like, hi, first name. We can say, things like, hi, first name. We have also partnered with a similar client to yourself, and then maybe list the client name, right? ABC Limited or whatever. Let's put it in here. Here is a link to the case study, so you can see what kind of results we can generate for companies like yours, right? And then I'd add in the actual link to the case study, okay? So I'd probably, when you put in this link, you want to make sure that people are opening it in a new tab, so they're not clicking off your email and it's still open in the same tab. But anyway, if we just put, here's a link to the case study so you can see what kind of results we can generate for companies like yours, add the case study, and then once again, a soft call to action. Would this be worth exploring? Right, just nice and soft. It will just prompt the response. But really the main thing here is actually putting that case study link in. So let's say, for example, I have a case study page. Perfect. Then I'll just copy and paste this link, put it in here, and then we would want to change it. So open link. Perfect. And then we would want to change it. So you want to go here, click on edit link, and click open in new tab and update it. So when someone's in your email, this will open a new tab and keep your email open, because sometimes if you put a link in there and they click on the link and it takes them to the web page straight away in that tab, then your email's lost. They need to try and re-find it again to reply, and it adds too much friction in the process. So if you can add it so it opens in a new tab, it keeps your email open also, which increases the likelihood to get a response. It's these small percentages, but they do add up over time, especially if you're running at volume. So email 2, I would always recommend putting a case study link in there. That's really going to help. What we usually do is have the first follow-up 2 days after the first email, and then the second follow-up 4 days after the second email, right? So if we wanted to add the third follow-up, we'd go in here, change this to 4 days after, and then once again, we would put a new message in here. What we like to do for email 3 is add like an intro offer or a softer. What we like to do is add an intro offer or like a downsell type thing, right? So if the main offer isn't relevant to them, then we can also. So what we like to add in email 3 is a bit of an intro offer. So this is just something that they can do or join to be part of a community where we can nurture them, right? So for example, an intro offer could be just a free school community, a free Facebook group, a free basically community to capture details, but also warm them up a little bit, right? So this is just an attempt to get them to actually take some action. The intro offer we like to run with is maybe adding them to a free school community or inviting them to a free school community where they can learn more about actually increasing their sales, increasing their MRR, etc. Right? So you want to have some sort of soft intro offer, something they can actually click on, consume. It could just be a playbook you send over, it could be a Loom video, it could be a community, but you want to have some sort of offer or lead magnet. I suppose this is sort of similar to a lead magnet that you can send over, and this will just help warm up the prospect and be more likely to get a response. Because the truth is, if they haven't responded to your first 2 emails, partly it can be timing, but it's more so they just don't feel encouraged enough yet, right? So we need to do something, generate more sales assets, get them in front of more sales assets to actually increase their desire to respond to you, right? So that's what we want to go with email 3. It would just look something like, hey, first name, not sure if this is relevant to you right now, but we have a free school community where we teach. Let's say, for example, this is in the finance space, financial leaders like yourself, maybe not teach, but share insights on how financial leaders like yourself can generate more sales through intent-driven outbound marketing. Okay, intent-driven outbound marketing. Here's the link to the community. Here's a link to community. You can either have 2 calls to action, either saying, would this be of interest, I can send over the link, or just send over the link to the community. I'll probably just send it over. Once again, it reduces friction. Here's the link to the community. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, and then hopefully this will just capture their details, get them in the school community where you can nurture them over a longer period of time and eventually warm them up so they can actually join a sales call. But that's how you set up the follow-ups in Smartlead. You very simply just add these steps, add the time in between emails. I recommend 2 and 4 days. And then once that is complete, that's been running, you've added your leads in. Every 45 days, when that campaign is complete, you can recycle these leads, but you will need to change email 1. You can need to change email 2 and 3 slightly, but it's very important that you change email 1. So all the people that haven't replied, haven't opted out, haven't booked calls, you can retarget those leads. They will not remember the cold email they received from you 45 days ago, but you'll just need to come up with a new message, a new initial message, a new script. Because that first one, partly once again, could be timing, but it's more likely that it just wasn't good enough to actually encourage them to take action, right? It didn't provoke their pain, it didn't provoke their desire enough to actually take action. So it gives you another shot at trying to get this lead on the phone, but you need to come up with a new type of message. Don't just change a few words, change the strategy. If you've been going with a lead magnet, then go with a direct offer, and vice versa. If you've been going with a direct offer, lead with a lead magnet and see how it performs. But every 45 days, you can continually recycle these leads unless they've opted out, unless they've booked a call, etc. But that's just something you can do for the long term if your market's quite limited and you might be worrying about that. I want to do cold email, but I've only got maybe a couple thousand people in my total addressable market. No problem, you'll just need to recycle these leads more and potentially look at multi-channel strategies as well. So going into multi-channel strategies, it starts exactly the same, starting on email for the first 3. But what I also recommend is adding in 3 extra steps, which will be connecting with these people on LinkedIn, which you can use HeyReach, Dripify, or another LinkedIn automation tool for, and then actually giving them a cold call. So it goes in order of sort of personalization in terms of the platform. So email is going to be the least personal, LinkedIn second, and then cold call actually being the most personal. So over time, you're going to start to engage in these leads across multiple platforms. They'll see your name repeatedly, and they'll be warmer to actually taking a call and potentially stage advancing in your pipeline as well. So that's just a little bit about the advanced strategy. The multi-channel will get you better results. Once again, this is better for a limited market. If you have a very big TAM, very big total addressable market, I recommend just running with this one. If it is quite tight knit, then go with the more advanced strategy, add LinkedIn and add cold calling in there as well. But that should sum up exactly how to actually create your follow-ups in Smartlead. Really nice and simple. Once again, the setup will be the same as usual. Turn the open tracking off, turn the link tracking off, okay? But you can add these links in email 2 and 3 as long as it's in the same thread. So don't put that subject line in there and you'll be fine. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer. But hopefully this video has been useful on how you can create follow-ups for your email campaigns, and I shall see you on the next one. Thank you. Hello, Smart Leaders. So this video is going to be going over a cold email template that helped make one of my clients over $50,000. I'm going to go straight into this video. I'm going to show you the exact scripts we use, but there's something really important we need to start with, and that's understanding the market as a whole, right? So pretty much every B2B market will look like this. There's going to be around 3% of the people that you reach out to will be ready to buy, around 17% of the market in information gathering mode, and the remaining, say 80%, is going to be somewhat unaware, either unaware of their problem or completely unaware. Okay, now that's why when you do outreach to cold audiences, your reply rate is never really going to be like above, say, for example, 20%. Just most people will be unaware and they'll disregard the message. Of course, it's different if it's to warm audiences, that's a completely different story, but to completely cold prospects, which will be mostly the people you're reaching out to, you need to understand how the market is sort of structured. The reason being is because we need 2 different distinct types of outreach that we're going to do and 2 different distinct types of scripts that's going to help to capture the whole market that we can actually address, right? So for the most part, this unaware section is obviously the biggest section, and that's going to come through the likes of education. They're going to need to mainly be inbound. They're going to have to research. They're going to have to learn about it. And through a cold outreach message, it's going to be very hard to convert them. So the ones that we're focusing on are the ones in information gathering mode and the ones that are ready to buy. So we're going to have 2 different distinct types of scripts. One is going to appeal to those that are ready to buy and ready to make decisions quickly. And one is going to appeal to those that are in information gathering mode and they just want to learn more about what's going on in the market, right? So with the direct script, I would always start with direct. Say you're doing this for yourself or you're doing this for a client, you want to make sure you start with the direct message first. It's exactly the same if you're running advertising. Right, so when you're running advertising, you want to basically appeal to the bottom end of the market first, the low-hanging fruit that are easiest to convert. It will make your life way easier, ad spend will be lower, and it'll be the same with cold emails. If you're having a very direct message, you're going to pick up a smaller percentage of the market, but that percentage of the market will be quicker in terms of decision-making cycles, quicker in terms of sales cycles, and it's going to be easier to get them across the line. So I would always start with a direct message, a direct outreach script, to get the bottom percentage of the market, to get the clients in, to get the results in quickly, and then you can expand into the next, say, 17%, which are the ones in information gathering mode. So our direct message and our direct script is comprised of 3 main parts, right? So we have relevance, we have the pitch, and then we have social proof. Very, very simple. That's really all we want to be putting into this direct message. Not too much information. We don't need to be putting a crazy amount of value. That's for the next script, those who are in the information gathering mode. But for those who we need to basically convert directly, we only need these 3 elements, right? Relevance, pitch, and social proof. So our example of relevance in this direct message would be, hey, name, and then we would say, I noticed you are following Warmup on LinkedIn.
his content is great, right? So basically you've got some relevance point there. It doesn't have to be following person on LinkedIn. It could be, I noticed you were hiring, I noticed someone just left, I noticed you just received funding. But you basically just want to have a point of relevance here. But it's really important that your relevance that you use ties into your pitch. So it's no point just going and saying, hey, I noticed you were following XYZ on LinkedIn, and then just going to a completely unrelated pitch. That would be pointless. So what you want to do is basically build off the relevance into your pitch. So I can say, I noticed you were following Vipav on LinkedIn. His content is great. As you're following Smartlead, if we could get you in touch with 10 to 15 lead generation agencies looking to work with SEO, agencies or SEO companies on a retained basis, would that be of interest? Right, so then here's the pitch. And because obviously this person is following Smartlead, they would probably be interested in lead generation agencies, right? So it's a very simple pitch. It's, if we could get you in touch with these people who need SEO, would that be of interest? Obviously this would be for an SEO agency. So that's a very simple direct pitch. The fact it's a retained basis just makes it more attractive. So you can add different words in there. You could add exclusive or keywords that make it more attractive. You just want a very simple pitch there and an attractive offer. So 10 to 15 calls or 10 to 15 introductions is usually attractive to most businesses, so that will work. And then PS, we want to add in social proof here. So great, we've made our pitch. Why on earth should they trust our pitch? Here's why, right? We've helped 127 companies sign more lead generation clients in the last 87 days alone, generating $377,000, right? The reason why I picked these numbers specifically is because if you pick like odd numbers, actually specifically odd numbers, but numbers that are very specific, it looks more trustworthy and it looks more legitimate rather than say 120 companies in the last 90 days. It generally doesn't look as good and the human brain doesn't adhere to it as well. So that's why I use very specific numbers in our outreach. Also, if you're using like AI or ChatGPT, it'll give you very specific numbers, so it doesn't quite look as human. But effectively, this pitch with enough volume, right, sending say 1,000 emails a day, you'll book calls with this. Having some form of relevance, a pitch that is related to that relevance, and then social proof as to why they should trust you. Right? So that's how you would basically target the bottom end of the market, those who are ready to buy, those who are in bottom 3% and ready to make decisions quickly. As I say, put a bit of volume behind this, you will get calls in your calendar, you'll get people who are interested, but you'll be missing out on this 17%. So if you send this to everyone, you're only going to get a small percentage of the market and you're not going to get the best reply rate because it's too direct. If you want to open it up slightly, book more calls, but with prospects who are slightly colder and won't be as ready to move forward as quickly, then you need to start to go to the information gathering market, right? I'd recommend doing this one first because you will get those results quickly. But if you want to get better results overall, more replies, more conversations started, you need to have a broader message that appeals to the colder audiences. So how do we appeal to a colder audience? They're clearly not interested in moving forward with something straight away. They need to know more information. They want to be educated, right? They need to understand why you can help them or how you can help them. So it's very important that we have a very different message here. So you can see that the layout of this is very different. We've got relevance once again at the beginning because any relevance driven email will be more successful than just a generic one. So I would always start with relevance no matter who you're reaching out to. But in the middle, we've got the pitch plus info. We're actually explaining more about it, right? Because in this email, they already know what the benefits of working with lead generation agencies are. They already know how the system likely works. They already know what the retained basis is. They have the information, they just literally need to make the decision. Whereas the people in the 17% category, they won't have all the necessary information, so we have to explain to them the benefit. Then what we do is we lead with value. So I would literally just provide value and not really ask for anything in return, because this will get a lot of responses, people will understand it more, and then they'll start to go into this 3%, right? So it works, people are unaware, then they start to obviously want to learn more as you provide them more information, and then as they gain more information, they start to become ready to buy. Obviously it works like a funnel, not all of them will come through, but you have a percentage that go from information gathering to ready to buy as they rise up the awareness levels. So we'd start the same with relevance. We'd say, hey, I noticed you are following Clay on LinkedIn, for example. Then our pitch and info could be, as you're following Clay, I have something that might be of interest. Don't worry, it's completely free. So what I do here is I try and bring the guard down straight away, because people in this sort of section, they don't want to be pitched to, right? Only people here want to be pitched to, so you need to bring the prospect's guard down. The way we do that is by saying, don't worry, it's completely free. This is just a purely value-driven message. I say we've developed a clay table that will help you find companies who have had someone leave so you can reach out to them offering a replacement before they've even put a job ad up. This is an example for the recruitment space that you could use, but you can tailor this to whatever space you want. It's basically giving them a little bit of a pitch as to what we've built and why it'd be useful to them, with a bit of an explanation as to what it does. So you see the difference here. It's very much more indirect and less salesy, this message, but it has way more value because then we basically just provide the value to them. Here's a video of how it works, and here's the table that you can use for free, right? So we're giving them tons of value. Now, what we do here is we warm them up and get them in. So what we do here is we warm them up and make sure that a percentage of those prospects in the information gathering mode are ready to go to the ready to buy, right? Progress to the ready to buy section. And then obviously they will turn into clients. So I think too many agencies and too many businesses get caught up in just trying to go for direct or just trying to go with the value approach, right? And not using a mix of the two because you don't really understand where your market's at. I think these cold email templates of literally just using a relevance, pitch, social proof for a direct message, and then relevance, pitch, information, and value for a less direct, less salesy message will definitely work and will definitely get you sales calls in your calendar. And it will have the dual impact effect of not just appealing to those who are ready to make their decision, but also those who are a bit further out on their journey, so you have a consistent pipeline. And don't just go for the people who are right there ready to make a decision now, because you'll miss out on the big percentage of the market that would like to do this sort of thing. They just don't know enough about it, they don't have enough trust, and they haven't tried it themselves yet. So use both of these templates, split test them, see what you think, but use them in conjunction to the same market, and let me know what the results are. Let me know how you get on. Comment on this video if there's anything else you want to learn or you're curious about with these cold email templates. They're very, very simple. You've probably seen it time and time again from other people in the space, but literally all you need to do is keep it simple. If your offer is good and you can provide a good product and you can get it out in front of enough people, you'll see success in the cold email game. This is less of a technical video to do with deliverability and whatnot, but if you use these templates and apply the right fundamentals of knowledge of the market, you will see success and you'll grow your agency through cold email. So best of luck sending, and I'll speak to you very soon. Take care.
Video, I'm going to break down exactly step by step how we've done this and how you can do the same using Smartlead. So if we go into my Smartlead account, you can see that I've got a campaign here that I haven't run for a while, but these are the sort of numbers that we're expecting. Honestly, these numbers are not even optimized, they're nothing special, but you can still achieve 100 calls every single month with numbers like this, right? So I'm going to go over in this video exactly how we do it. Stay to the very end because I'm going to go through the exact numbers that you need to hit to make sure you hit 100 sales calls a month for your agency. But a lot of agencies solely focus on just deliverability, making sure they've got IPs rotating with their domains and all of this technical stuff. But in reality, the cold email script is the most important part of the process, okay? Because without a really optimized script, nothing else matters. Having the right offer and niche for your cold email campaign is by far the most important aspect of the campaign itself. Okay, you can have the most intense like AI enrichment automations with Clay telling you, all about your prospects, what they've done on their last day off, what technologies they use on a daily basis, etc. But if you don't have the pain of the market that you can alleviate, you may as well try and sell to a brick wall, right? And this might be what you're currently facing if you're struggling to make it work. You're not creating the right script for your cold email campaign, okay? So I've broken down the main variables of a great cold email. We've got 5 of them here. I'm gonna go through them one by one. And if you can tick all of these off in your cold email script, there's a really, really high likelihood that you'll be able to book a call with that prospect, right? So let's get into it. The first one is making your message relevant, okay? And this is where the AI automation tools can help, for example, Clay. But you want to make your prospect feel that your email is relevant and timely for them. For example, it could be that you noticed they were local, you noticed they were hiring for a certain position, you noticed they received funding. You basically just want to have a reason to reach out, and the prospect will understand this. Once you have that relevant reason to reach out and you know they're hiring, or you know they're local, or you know there could be a need of your service, then you want to point out their pain. Okay, this is by far, in my opinion, the most important part of the email, because the pain is usually determined by the audience or niche. One specific audience or one specific niche will experience a type of pain that another audience and niche won't, right? For example, if you're working with recruiters, a lot of recruiters' pain is around business development and client acquisition. Whereas if you're working with marketing agencies, from my experience, a lot of their pain is actually fulfillment and managing the service over client acquisition. Client acquisition is not really their issue. It's more so actually fulfillment and managing the clients they do have. Because the better you can describe the prospect's exact situation back to them and the pain they're facing, the more likely they will be able to take action with you and get on a call with you, right? Because there needs to be sufficient pain experienced by the prospect in order for them to take action. If you're entering a new market and you're not 100% sure what the pain could be, what you're going to want to do is use ChatGPT to help identify the pain points listed in the market, right? Obviously, if you do have industry knowledge, perfect, use that. If you don't and you go into a new market, use ChatGPT, ask some questions and get it to ask you questions as well, so you can identify the specific pain points in this market. But calling out the pain of the prospect is really, really important. This is what will get their attention, okay? Once you've identified their pain and once you've identified their pain and reiterated this to them, then you want to go in with your value proposition. Okay, so this is the solution that you can provide to alleviate the prospect's pain. Now, with the value proposition, we don't necessarily want to go into the weeds of, we use this specific clay automation workflow that does X, Y, Z. What you want to do with value proposition is sell the outcome, right? As I've said, we want to sell the destination here, not necessarily the vehicle. So we want to make it end outcome orientated. So for example, if you run a lead gen agency, you could be saying that you could help, get your prospects 10 to 15 meetings next month, rather than saying, could we help you run cold email campaigns? I know this is very basic, but you need to have the value proposition centered around the outcome always. This will always perform significantly better. But you need to make sure that this outcome is clear, right? This is another mistake I see a lot of lead generation agency owners make. The value proposition, it's just got no clarity to it. It needs to be tangible numbers, i.e. 10 to 12 meetings next month or the next 30 days. And that's your very clear value proposition. It should be summarized in one sentence, not a whole paragraph, and just very straight to the point, okay? Because ultimately, with selling the outcome or selling the process, in the back end, you're still doing the same thing, but the outcome always sells better. So that's how you want to position your value proposition. Then once you've said your value proposition, you want to introduce risk reversal and social proof, right? Because these are cold prospects at the end of the day. It's a cold email, okay? They don't know you. They have no awareness level of who you are and why they should trust you. So we need to make it extremely clear in this email why that this is effectively a no-brainer offer for them, okay? So with the risk reversal, you need to put in tangible risk reversal. With the risk reversal, you need to put in tangible numbers again, i.e. if we don't get you the result, then we refund you or keep going until it happens, right? You just want to remove all risk from the prospect side, allowing them to commit to your solution because they're getting pitched a lot. So we need to make sure it's very clear and that we've got very good risk reversal there. Another one, of course, is social proof, right? They've got zero reason to trust us. So now we need to make it clear with our case studies why they should trust us. And we always see case studies to work the best for this, right? So include a case study that's relevant to them, a very similar case study to their company, and explain how you've helped this company and why it would make sense that you could help the prospect as well, okay? So using all of those variables, we can actually create a framework now. So this is a very simple framework that we can use to actually write our cold email campaigns for Smartlead, right? So for example, it could be, hi name, are you noticing pain is affecting your company's growth? So if it's a marketing agency, you could say, hi name, are you noticing that managing all of your client fulfillment is affecting your company's growth, right? Because this is a specific pain point to that market. Or if it's recruiters, hi name, are you noticing that business development or struggling with business development is affecting your company's growth? We help companies book 10 to 15 calls per month using multi-channel outbound sequencing. And if we don't book you 10 calls next month, you get a refund, right? So it's got the outcome there, it's got the unique mechanism, and it's got the risk reversal. So you need to highlight all of these things and make sure it ticks off each of those variables, right? And then this is where we go in the social proof. our last client, and then I would usually name the client. That's usually works much better. So our last client, XYZ Limited, booked 15 calls in just 35 days using our system, and I'm confident we could do the same for you. Would you like me to send more info? So what we have at the end here is a soft CTA. So these are all the variables that I've described above. We've got the pain, we've got the value prop, we've got the risk reversal, we've got the social proof, right? You notice here that the relevancy, we haven't noticed that they're hiring or anything like that. It's not always required. All of these variables are not always required, but it does help if you do have all of them. And then finish off with a soft CTA. Now, we don't want to just say, can we jump on a call? Because once again, the prospect's warmth and awareness level is too low. So we need to slowly build trust with them by giving them information, by giving them resources, etc., etc. Right, so that's all good. We've got the framework, we've got the variables. Now, how do we book 100 calls? Okay, so this is how we break down the numbers, and this is how I've done it with like actual real campaigns like this one here. Okay, so 100 calls usually would stem from around 200 positive replies. We have about 50% booking rate. In fact, ours is higher than this, but I think 50% booking rate is typically, it would typically be a good KPI to aim for. If you're struggling with this, if it's below 50%, you need to be getting back to leads significantly quicker and potentially offering more value in the message, right? So 50% booking rate. To get 100 calls, we need to have 200 positive replies. To have 200 positive replies, we need about 1,000 replies in total, assuming we have a 20% positive reply rate. Once again, 20% positive reply rate is nothing crazy, it's nothing special. It should be able to be achieved. You can see here, we've got a 24% positive reply rate, and that was the first iteration of the script. So you should be able to hit that, okay? Now, to get 1,000 replies, we usually need to send around 30,000 emails, right? About a 3% reply rate. Your reply rate can be much higher than this. It could be 5%, it could be 8%. Fantastic. But this is a KPI. If we're going for high volume, we usually understand reply rate will drop slightly. So we can expect to get 1,000 replies, we probably need to send around 30,000 emails. Now, 30,000 emails across the month, we send Monday to Saturday, so we just exclude Sunday. So excluding Sundays, it's looking at around 1,150 emails out per day, which would come from about 46 email accounts and 23 domains. So that is the exact breakdown. If you use this framework and you use this script and you have these numbers behind you, you're going to book a lot of calls, right? It might be 100, it might be slightly more, it might be slightly less, but there's no way you don't book a significant amount of calls with this sort of volume and this sort of framework. It's proven and tested in the market. So I hope this video has helped. Be sure to put this framework into your next Smartlead campaign. Let me know how you get on. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you on the next one.
So last month, I actually booked 123 sales calls for my agency. You can see from my Calendly link here, I actually had about 154 calendar invites sent and bookings made. But it was about 123 legitimate sales calls, right? I can show you my Calendly, I can refresh this so you can see it is legitimate. But this has all come about from making one change in my front end, one change in my sales process. And I'm going to explain to you exactly how you can do the same today, because if you make this change in your offer, I guarantee you'll book more calls. Like, I've seen it time and time again. You will genuinely book more calls 100% if you actually implement what I'm going to show you in today's video. Okay, and I'm going to give you some examples if you stick around to the end, but I won't make this too long. Let's get straight into this, right? Effectively, what this all comes down to is actually understanding what your customer truly wants. When you're selling to a cold audience, someone that's not in your network or not a referral, right? We're actually going to ask cold audiences here to grow. You need to fundamentally understand what your customer actually wants. This isn't what they actually need. This isn't what they actually need to succeed, nor what service you provide. But it's what they truly want. This is what's going to get them interested, right? For most businesses, this is leads, sales, revenue, etc. And this is why lead generation offers are so attractive and they're so easy to sell, because everyone's interested in that, right? They create demand as opposed to capture it, right? And if you understand what the customer wants, you can actually increase the demand for your service by changing nothing else. You don't even need to make your product better. You don't need to invest more into your paid ads or your marketing.
You don't need to change anything, and your demand will increase if you genuinely just understand what the customer wants. But there's a huge difference between what the customer wants and what you sell, most likely, right? For example, with fitness coaching, this is just an example off the top of my head. What people actually want is the most low effort, low risk, easy plan possible. They don't want to actually have to change their diet. They don't want to actually have to do grueling exercise. In reality, this isn't what gets them the result, but this is what would create the demand for the service. If you had a PT service or a fitness program where someone could eat whatever they wanted, exercise whenever they wanted, and not have to put themselves through all that struggle, then there would be significantly more demand for that. I'm not saying that's possible in the back end and you want to just completely make up what you're selling, but you need to understand this phenomenon, right? That if you understand what the customer truly wants in their head, okay, then it makes your service much easier to sell if you frame it like that. Because most offers that we see are demand capture offers. There needs to be someone in the right mindset at that right time with perfect timing to actually execute on your offer. For example, we work with a lot of recruitment agencies. A lot of time, recruitment agencies are a demand capture offer because someone has to be looking to hire. They have to be in need of someone to bring on the team. You can't just generate demand for that type of offer, right? And that means it's much harder to scale these offers. It is much harder to scale these offers because you can't just create demand out of thin air. But if you've learned to frame it the right way, then you actually can do this. And I have an example I'm going to show you shortly of how we done this, right? But another example, say you sell website services and you reach out to people telling them that you can help them with their website. This will only ever attract people who are actually in the right mind space right now who need their website done. It's not going to attract me because I don't feel like I need my website done. It's only going to be attracting people who are in that right state right now of thinking about their website, okay, if you sell it like that. And unfortunately, this is only ever going to attract the people who are in the bottom percentage of the market. And this is what 90% of agencies do. This is why they never scale to big heights, because they're only actually going after that bottom 3% who need them right now. And if they don't convert with you, they'll convert with someone else. They need this, right? You're only ever getting those types of people. However, just trying to capture this demand is like finding a needle in the haystack, and that's probably how it feels when you do your outreach. It's not easy, it takes loads of time, you have to send thousands of messages or thousands of emails to even get a reply. It's because you're operating in a limited market, you're only capturing demand, and this means you're only getting the bottom percentage of the market. Everyone's competing for these leads, okay? Where the reality is you can change the game by flipping the script and going for demand generation offers. You can generate demand for your service like that if you learn the right things to say. This is a far better way to sell your offer because you can reframe it. And you can do this with pretty much any offer, right? It means that even if, for that website example, I'm not looking for a website right now, I can reframe the offer that makes the benefits sound so good that I wouldn't want to miss out on it. So if someone reached out to me and they said, I can help your website, I'm going to ignore it. I don't care. I don't need that being done right now. But if someone tells me that they can increase my conversion rates by 27% in 60 days, or I get my money back, aka I'll make more money, all of a sudden now I'm interested. The back end is exactly the same. It's redesigning my website. It's redesigning a landing page. But one of them is selling the actual feature itself, which is the website redesign, and one of them is selling the outcome, right? The very attractive outcome, which is increased revenue, etc. Okay, and obviously this is a very attractive one because it guarantees they'll make money, and it's extremely hard for someone to say no to. The only thing that with this type of offer now is increased skepticism in the market because everyone's making crazy offers like this. It's hard to see what's actually good and what's actually not. But nonetheless, a demand generation offer is still much easier to sell. And you will book more calls. This is how we book a lot of our calls, by actually giving the customers what they want, which is usually more leads, more sales, more revenue, etc. Right? But this is different to the traditional approach, because the traditional approach is just trying to find the people who are on that bottom 3% right now that need your service, and maybe not need your service, but need a service that you provide, and you could be the person to fulfill for them. But if you flip the script and reframe it, then you can start to generate demand by selling the outcomes, by selling the benefits of what it is you do. And it all comes down to your copy in your sales process, right? Your sales copy, how you frame your message. If you make it more end outcome orientated, then it's going to make it way easier to get people to actually buy into it, right? And it's going to create more demand. So that's going to be really important. Now, a real life example of this is we work with an offshore staffing company, okay? And this is what my agency does for clients. We don't teach them how to do this. I don't give you a course or anything like that. You know, we actually do this for our clients, right? So we have an offshore staffing company that we've been working with for a couple of months, selling their services in a pretty typical way, just trying to capture demand. That's honestly what we started by doing. We wanted to boost things up, so we advised the client on changing their offer into a demand generation offer as opposed to a demand capture. This changed nothing on the back end. Nothing in their service changed whatsoever. We just said we want to change the front end to get more people through the door, to get you in more conversations. The service was still exactly the same, but the script we started using, I'm literally going to show you what it is right now. Hey name, could you handle 5 to 10 qualified candidates over the next month and choose the best for your team? We work with companies like yours to source top talent, reducing costs by 63% while ensuring candidates are experienced and ready to deliver in your field. Should I send over some more information? This ticks all the boxes, right? Because effectively, it's not saying, oh, we can help place someone, blah, blah, blah. It's can you handle? So the way we frame this to create demand is basically asking if they could handle it. It's removing friction. It's already removing doubt from the head. It's not saying if we could help you do blah, blah, blah. It's already saying we've already got this. You know, all you need to do is just say yes and we can send over some more information. So this is effectively how we change the offer. Another one we can do is, for example, it could be, could you handle an extra 5 to 10 qualified leads in your pipeline? Our staff or our talent is exclusively focused on building your pipeline whilst reducing your staffing costs, etc., or whilst reducing your back end costs, right? So it's basically asking if they can handle the exact outcome that they want. And for these companies we're reaching out to, they truly did want qualified candidates who aren't expensive. That's what they truly wanted. That's why we're selling that. If they just wanted more leads, then we'd say, could you handle 5 to 10 more qualified leads next month? And then we would frame the mechanism would be through placing someone in your company that is capable of achieving this. That would obviously be placing a marketing person or a salesperson, etc. But it comes down to, you know, the fact that we're trying to sell them what they actually truly want, okay? This genuinely started working extremely well and was generating multiple leads every single day from just sending 50 messages to cold traffic. We use LinkedIn. I believe LinkedIn right now is the biggest opportunity for cold outreach, either for your own agency, like a B2B lead gen agency, because not many people understand how to scale LinkedIn and to do it effectively. It's cheaper than cold email. Cold email is run by everyone right now. I still believe in it, but stuff like LinkedIn is becoming much more effective. And we were generating multiple leads every single day by just sending 50 messages, something like 5 to 6% lead rate, right? You wouldn't even get that level of replies on cold email most of the time. Like the difference in results was literally night and day, the script we were using before versus this one. But the best part was that nothing changed on the back end. The client didn't have to redo their fulfillment. They didn't have to redo their service. Everything was the same. We were just using this different front end offer to get more people through the door so they could speak with them and close them, etc. Right? It all started from changing that initial approach, shifting the strategy, implementing it, and obviously checking the results, right? So that's effectively the biggest change that you can make to your agency in 2025 is instead of just trying to sell the service that you actually do, think about what the customer truly wants and break it down to a core fundamental. Because a lot of the time, what you think they want and what they actually want are two different things. So you have to remove your ego a little bit, step back, and figure out what the customer truly wants, how you can package that in an attractive script or an attractive ad, right? That would get their attention. A lot of times this is done for you offers where you actually do things for clients, you know, guarantee them results, etc., etc. But ultimately, if you're looking for help with this and you want one-to-one help or you want someone to do it for you, then I've got a link in the description where we can help you with that. Completely restructure your offer, make it a no-brainer offer, turn it into a demand generation offer, get it out into tons of traffic and book you a load of calls for your agency, your coaching business, consulting, whatever it might be. So if that's of interest to you, use the link in the description to book a call with myself and I'll speak to you then. But if not, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's been insightful and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. So in today's video, we're actually going to go over the network/event strategy for tough markets. So obviously in an ideal world, we would not have to operate in tough markets. We wouldn't want to, fight the uphill battle. We want to seek opportunities in those markets that are thriving. We want to be part of the gold rush with these markets. There's certain markets right now, I know in the US, the UK and Australia, that are just thriving so much more than other markets, and it just makes sense to position yourself in those markets. So we've already identified all those markets for you that are actually thriving, so there'll be no need to go out there and find them yourself. However, starting the cycle of finding candidates to go into that market and penetrate new markets can be somewhat slow. You probably need to consider a few things. It's not just going to be an overnight process, and ultimately our job is to find opportunities in any market, no matter how tough. Okay. So what we've got here is one of the strategies you can use for markets that seem to be really struggling right now. And if you're doing direct outreach and getting zero results, or just relying on your network and referrals, then this is the one to be paying attention to. So before I go into the strategy, it's really important to understand how this actually works, right? So in any market, people only trust you and work with you if you have a higher perceived status than the rest of your competitors. If everyone's on a level playing field, it'll be impossible to decide who to work with, and it'll just be, the market will be shared evenly, perfectly evenly. But that's not how it works. There's certain players that have big market share. There's a lot of players that have very little market share. What is the reason for that? It's perceived status, right? So the chances are all of your competitors are reaching out to your dream clients with, direct outreach messages, like direct offers, and offering them a dream, but the prospective client can only choose one of you. So our job is to make them pick you, right? They usually make that decision based off what we've seen, sending millions of emails across the, course of our career. They usually go with the one that has the highest perceived status, okay? As we can see by this very, very basic diagram that I've depicted here, the higher your perceived status, the higher likelihood the client will be working with you, okay? The lower your perceived status, the lower the client would be likely to work with you. For example, if you have no website, if you've never posted on LinkedIn, if you're just not in a rude way like a nobody in business, not many clients are going to work with you. You look at all the big players, they have an audience, they have great branding, and they have a great product. This is what we want, okay? That's how we get higher perceived status. Now, of course, those things like branding, website, product, that's stuff that takes a little bit of time to get into play. So what we want to do is find hacks like this that make us seem higher perceived status than the rest of the market, so we can take more market share, okay? And this is probably the reason why you're weighing up options potentially on even buying this program, because there's influencers in this space that have years more experience than us, way bigger audience than us, but they have a worse product. And I know that to be the case, right? However, due to their experience, you actually perceive them potentially as higher status than us. We're here to take over the market and innovate this market, and I know we'll do so. But there's obviously players out here who have been in the game for 30 years, and we haven't been in the game for 30 years, so they have a higher perceived status, right? That's just the reality of it. So what does the status actually come down to? It usually comes down to three things: trusting, liking, and knowing us, okay? We need to get people to trust us, we need to get people to like us, and we need to get people to know us. So this strategy that we're going to go through today is going to address all of those, okay? Because ultimately, humans crave for intimate connections, and we trust those that do the same as us, right? It's, since the dawn of human time, there's been groups of people who have come together based off common interest or common goals. Okay, this might seem like a reach, I'm going off topic here, but I'm not, honestly. Having a common connection with someone is huge in the game of acquiring clients. So important, and it's how you acquire your clients if you're currently relying on your network or referrals. It's because you have connections with these people. They trust you, they like you, and they know you. Okay, so we just need to do this at scale. Right? So here's how the strategy actually works. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign up for as many events in your niche as you can. Right? We're going to do real life events, we're going to do LinkedIn events, we're going to do webinars, we're going to find absolutely everything. So for this example, let's look at biotech. Right, so let's just type in biotech events 2024. Let's just literally search in Google. So we've got, let it take my location. So conferences and biotech. Let's have a look at this one. I always skip past the advertising. So let's go in here. And in the meantime, I'm going to load up LinkedIn so we can have a look at LinkedIn events as well. So let's have a look. Okay, so we've got the second global meet on nanotechnology, international. So these are big ones. These are big conferences, right? So maybe I want to type in networking events. Biotech networking events 2024. Okay. Oh, maybe it is these conferences. So basically, I'd want to sign up for these if you can. Okay. If not, at the very least, find maybe this page on Facebook. Find the Biotech X page on Facebook, and then we'll find all the people, and we'll be able to scrape all the people that are currently interacting with that page. Right. The whole goal here is to acquire data and acquire prospective clients who know about these events or maybe are attending these events. It's much better if they're attending them, but we can't guarantee they'll be attending them. So if we go to LinkedIn as well and we have a look at this, so what we can do is type in biotechnology, and if we go to events here, we'll see some events. So you've got the 10th International Meeting on Recent Advances in Plant Biotechnology. I usually look for ones that have a lot of attendees, right? So this one could be one, International Conference of Agriculture and Biological Science. Okay, so the reason why we want to search for these is these are pools of our ideal clients, right? They're hubs where our ideal client hangs out, and we can find them at scale. Instead of having to use like LinkedIn all the time or Apollo, we can find them and we can use this bit of relevance we've got to reach out to them. So we've got a list here, perfect. Now what we can do, step 2 is download and scrape the data of the list of attendees, okay? I've also got a little pro tip. As you're signing up for these events, use a separate email so you don't get flooded with promotional stuff and you have to unsubscribe from everything. We find it much easier to just, use a completely different email. So once you've signed up for them all, right, you found all the ones in your space that are interesting. If you can't attend them or you know they're out of your budget to attend them, then just see if you can get in contact with the owners and see if we can get some sort of list out of it. Okay, it's well worth sending the message. But for this example, if I go back to here, then I see we've got 167 attendees. Now I can't see the attendees yet, so what I need to do is click attend, and then all of the attendees will be accessible to me. Cool. So we've got 168 attendees, and we have all of these people, right? Okay. So obviously, some of them are going to be students, some of them are going to be, not the right people. So what we do, and this is a very small list, so it might not have as many contacts as we want, but I would always go into here, so into filters, and we can start putting in these filters. Now, what we do is a Boolean search. So we want to do CEO. or founder, or owner, or VP, for example, and it's going to be much easier to find the right people. So you can play with these keywords. Once again, this is a very small event, and it looks like the majority of these contacts, for example, are from India, so you could find events that are based in the US, but we've got a CEO and founder here, right, and this is potentially someone we could contact. Hey, saw you were eventing the event. What did you look to get out of it? What are you looking to get out of the event? You know, we're going to have some scripts that we're going to write here as well, but it'll be more of an open conversational approach. But because you're also attending the event, they'll see that you're attending the event. If you message them on LinkedIn, it'll be much, much easier to get that response out of them, okay? You can also do this at scale. So if we go to a really big list, like I think there was an event that had maybe 2,000 people, we can scrape all of these attendees, and then of course filter to find the right people. So if we go to here, then we've got this one of 2,000 attendees. Biotechnology might be a funny example. If we were just doing something like, tech in general, it would be much easier. We've also got a link here on Eventbrite, so we can see this is the event. Okay, awesome. So let's see if we can attend here and get access to all of these. Submit this. Then we'll have access to all of these attendees. So, awesome. Right, so we've got 2,000 attendees here. Okay, we've got founders, CEOs. Fantastic. Okay, from the UK as well. So that's one way we can do it. Obviously, we want to build as many lists as possible. You may have already been to lists in the past, to events in the past that you have lists of. These will be useful. We'll just clean the email addresses and, of course, reference the fact that we found them on XYZ list. Even if it's really old, it's still worth doing it. We'll just say, look, we found you on this list. For an event we attended a couple of years ago, just wondering, you still, attending networking events? It'd be great to catch up, that sort of thing. But it's all around finding the list, right? And of course, the third bit is marketing out to these contacts. I've already touched on this, but we want to make sure that they know we're reaching out because it's the event, right? And that's like the common ground here. It's not, hey, so you're hiring. The event way will stand out, like saying, oh, did you attend the event a few months ago? Did you attend the, conference, the Biotechnology 2024 conference a few months ago? Not sure if I bumped into you or not, but I just wanted to send you this quick message. Would you be open to connecting on LinkedIn, potentially have a short conversation next week about, the findings from the conference, right? Opening the door. Obviously, if you want to go very direct, if you have loads of contacts and loads of lists, then you can go more direct and just turn them into actual qualified calls. But this is a great way of starting conversations, right? So that's a little screenshot of how we find the right contacts. We do the same for podcasts. So say there's a podcast in your space. So for example, let's just say if I put in recruitment podcasts, okay? It's got loads here. I didn't realize there were that many, to be honest. Okay, so what we can do here with the recruitment podcasts is, let's just go see if we can go to one on Spotify. And what I can do is, what you want to do is obviously find podcasts in your space that potentially have had guests on, right? So maybe this podcast is just this one contact speaking themselves, but if we can find ones that actually regularly have guests on, then it'll be much easier for us to scrape this data. So let's see if I can find this on Spotify. Okay, perfect. So we've got a podcast here, right? I'm going to put it into Google Chrome so we can do the next step. But what we want to do is put this in here, find the Spotify, and we've got the Spotify list, and this has got all of the guests that have been on the podcast. This is a really, really advanced strategy, and this will absolutely crush it if you use this. So wait for this to load. But once we have this website, look, we've got all of these people, we've got all these names that of people that have been on the podcast, right? So we can do load more episodes. Okay, we can just load this. What we can do here is also use Instant Data Scraper to scrape this data. Okay, so what we've got, if I locate next button, and hopefully this will work. Let's have a look. Then what we can do is start crawling all of this data, right? And start scraping all of this. So there we go, perfect. So like we've scraped data, it looks like it's come to an end of how many it's found. But nonetheless, if I could just continue to press this button, it should scrape more data. There we go. So for some examples, you may have to do this manually. But if I just do this, then what I can do is basically scroll right to the bottom, and we'll have all of this data that we can use, which we can then clean up in for example, ChatGPT. So we've got Christopher Slade here. So what I'd do is I'd download this as a CSV, put it into Google Sheets or Clay, and say extract the name from this file. We could probably even do this with just super basic GPT. Then what we've got is a name of all of these contacts which have been on a podcast in the space, which matches our criteria perfectly. Okay, like we have all of them and we know what exact podcast they've been on. So we can say, hey, just listen to your episode on XYZ podcast. Awesome that you're on there, and then go into a bit of a pitch and an offer. We can really probably go crazy with this on with AI, because what AI can do now, ChatGPT 4.0, if you give it a YouTube link, it can also watch YouTube videos. So what we can do is create a CSV file of podcast names, podcast titles that have been on, and then YouTube links of the podcast, and get ChatGPT to create personalized messages about the actual context of the podcast, what they've actually exactly said, without you having to watch any of them. Once again, very advanced, but this is the sort of thing you have to do in a tough market to make it work. So hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been useful. If you've got any questions about it, let me know, but use this strategy and let us know how you get on. So by this point in the program, you should have your lead list built using Clay, and you should have some great LinkedIn copy based off the previous 2 modules that you've just been through. Now it's time to actually set up the sequence in the automation tool, which is Dripify. You can see I'm in my team's account here. So I'm just gonna basically show you what a good campaign would look like and how you actually wanna structure it for optimal results. So all you need to do is start by pressing new campaign in the campaigns section, and then we want to add the leads. I've briefly shown you how to do this in the module, I think the first module of how to build the lead list, but I'm going to go through it completely from scratch again, okay? So you want to add your leads. The way that we would do it is we would upload a CSV file. That's basically the file we've built off Clay. Alternatively, you can use LinkedIn searches and you can paste individual profile URLs. The best way to do it is just to upload a CSV file, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to press browse. I'm going to add the CSV that I've just built. You'll know it's worked because it will tell you how many LinkedIn profiles it's found. And it should match the amount of data that's in your table on Clay that we've just built together. So from here, you want to press create list, which is great. And then we want to go to the next step, which is actually creating the sequence. So this is where you need to play code. So this is where you'd want to pay closer attention. So Dripify obviously have their own templates. They have a lead generation template, they have an endorse my skills, extra profile views. Now, if you just click on lead generation, I'll show you what the template looks like. All it does is it sends an invite, right? And then endorses their skills and sends 3 messages. This is very basic. It's a good start, but it's not what we want to do. What we want to do is maximize results as much as physically possible, okay? So the way that I would do this is I'm just going to go back to templates, and we want to create a custom campaign. Okay, so what we want to do by starting is we built a big list. Some of these people may already be our connections. Now it's up to you whether you want to message your connections or not. I'll show you both options, but it all starts from the first filter. So what you want to do is press add action, and from here we want to use conditions. Okay, so conditions is really useful because it will basically create like a split branch of what's going to happen, what actions will happen based off the criteria. So if we are connected with someone, then we can either send them a message, or for this case, I'm assuming if we're already connected with someone, maybe we don't want to send them a message. If you do, then all you do is simply press message here, input the message that we've created using the variables. So it could be, hey name, noticed you had a controller position open on LinkedIn. Would it be worth right? Obviously, you're not going to put this message, but I'm just putting something short in there just so you can see the idea. Cool. So we've got the variable in there. Hey, first name. Notice you had a controller open position. Then if you're connected with them and you do want to send them a message, then I'd probably add the 2 to 3 follow-ups here as well. So you can put the follow-up, you can put whatever you want. Hey, just bumping this message up. Hey, also we've helped similar companies to yours, etc., etc. You'd obviously want to tailor the message, and then you'd want to change the time in between the messages. So currently it's at 1 day. I would recommend 2 to 3 days between the first and the second message, and then around 3 to 4 days between the second and third message, and then 4 to 5 days between the third and the fourth. So it all goes up over time. That's what I'd recommend. So that's simply how you do it if you want to message people you're connected with. I'm going to assume we don't, and I'm going to show you how we would do that. So if we connected with someone and we don't want to message them, we don't want to message your first degree connections, from here we will just press end sequence. And then if we're not connected with them, what we'd want to do is add another condition. Okay, so this is for all new contacts that we're not connected with. Now we want to see if they have an open profile. The reason being, if they have an open profile, it means that we can send them emails. Okay, so instead of just sending a connection to everyone and hoping that they accept it, if they have an open profile, we can definitely send them a message through an email to an open profile. So if we were just to do the connection bit here, we would only be able to message those that accept the connection. Whereas if we do a message to open profiles first, then we can get them more messages out because we don't have to be connected with them. Okay, so see if the profile is open. If it is, then great. What we can do here is send an in-mail. Okay, so we want to press on in-mail. Once again, you'd want to put your message here.
So I'm just going to put test 1, 2, 3, and you'd want to put a subject line because this is an in-mail on LinkedIn. You need to put this. Okay, so I'm just going to put test. Then if they accept your in-mail, usually means they've responded positively or they've said no thanks. So from here you can just press end. Okay, so open profile. If yes, we send them an in-mail. If they don't respond to our in-mail within 2 days, then what we can do is send them an invite. Okay, so they're an open profile, we sent them an email. If they haven't responded, then we can send an invite, and then we can go with our message again. Okay, so this is a message once someone accepts the connection. So we can say, hey, first name, thanks for connecting. I have someone that could be good for your open controller position. Okay, and you just save that. So now they're in our network. If they haven't accepted our invite and we've emailed them from here, I would just press end. Okay, and it will wait until invite is accepted. If it never gets accepted, then the invite's just always out there, and we can eventually redact this. I'll show you how to do that at the very end. But this is the way we would want to set it up. So if they have an open profile, we'll send them an email because we can. If they respond to it, great, we leave it there. If they don't respond within 2 days, then we send an invite. If they do accept that invite, then we'd send them a message, and then we would send, once again, so now if they accept that invite, it goes into the message sequence. So once again, we'd have 2 follow-ups here. Okay, so follow-up 1. Don't worry, if this is not making sense, it will do in a second. I'll show you how this would work. Follow-up 1, and then message, follow-up 2. So you'd actually want to put in your message here, right? Let's say I want to have 4, and then we'd end after that. Okay, so what we can see is if someone's accepted that invite, we send them a message. If they don't respond, 3 days later we send another message. If they don't respond to that, 4 days later we send another message, and then we end it after that. Now once someone's accepted, we want to message them really as soon as possible. So I change this to 1 hour. So as soon as they accept the invite, 1 hour later, we hit them with the first message, then 3 days, then 4 days, and so on. And that's just if they have an open profile. If they don't have an open profile, so no, then what we'd want to do is effectively just put this section of the workflow in there. So you'd want to send an invite, and then if they do accept it, we'd want to put exactly the same branch here. Okay? Because either it's going to go this way or it's going to go this way. But we want to have the same output. So send invite, look, if it doesn't accept, then no, that's the same. Then we need to replicate this. So we just change this to 1 hour. Then we want to put the first message. So let's just put this. And we want to change this to 3 days. Then we have a follow-up 1. Then we want to change this to 4 days. Ooh. And we'll have another message, which will be follow-up 2, and then end. So if I zoom out, see if I can actually do this. Don't think I can zoom out for some reason. But you'll see that it's this branch, the send invite, is exactly the same as this one here, okay? But obviously it's not going to send it twice because it's dependent on the profile. So this might look a little bit confusing, but it should make sense if you just follow this copy, or you follow this framework and you just change the copy to match yours, okay? So if you're connected with them, let's say you don't want to send them a message, then it will end the sequence, they'll end up here. Let's say you're not connected with them, but they have an open profile, then great, we'll send them an email. If they don't respond to the email, then we'll send an invite. Equally, if we're not connected with them and they don't have an open profile, we'll send them an invite, and then if they accept the invite, we'll send them 3 messages. So that is exactly how I would set that up. I'd click next, give your campaign a name. So let's just say it's test angle 1, and then maybe put the date, 10th of January. It's the UK way of putting the date if there's anyone American watching. And then you just save and launch, and it really would be as simple as that. All right, high five, Good job, campaign is launched. Go back to the campaigns. From here, you wouldn't need to do anything. You just need to let it run for at least a week, test the data, see what sort of acceptance rate you're getting, see what sort of reply rate you're getting, put that in the school community as well so we can look at each other's results, analyze it, and go on from there to optimize it to make it even more successful. But that's what you'd want to do in terms of the sequence. You'd want to copy this. So I'm going to leave it on the screen for a second, take a screenshot, have a look at it, right? Where you'd want to make sure you're not messaging connected people unless, of course, you want to. Then in which case you'd just put the same message sequence here. You want to check for open profiles. If they are open, send them an email. If they're not, send them a connection. And then once you're connected with someone, you want to send them those 3 messages. So it should be nice and straightforward. If you have any issues with that, just let me know. And I think we've got one more video of the LinkedIn bit now, and it's actually how to send even more emails. So this will have a limit, a natural limit of around 25 per day, it should say, but it won't actually hit that many. These automation tools won't hit that many emails because there's something stopping them. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can boost your results even quicker with a bit of manual effort, right? So you're not just relying on the automation to get even more sales calls in the calendar ASAP. So I'll see you on that next video. Thank you for watching this one. So as you start your business development campaigns on LinkedIn, the whole aim of this is to get results fast. We don't want to have to wait around, and do, months of split testing to find what truly works. This is a very long-term, there are very long-term strategies for optimization that you will need to adopt, but at the end of the day, we want to get business quickly, right? So this is what this video is tailored around. This is LinkedIn prospecting for fast results. It's not necessarily the automation. It's not necessarily waiting for Dripify to cook in and building your network. This is getting calls quickly, within a day or two, right? 0 warm-up required, 0 ramp-up required. It's how we can make a profound impact fast. Automated campaigns are great. They sometimes take a while due to split tests and, it takes a while to see the results. Whereas there's a way to bypass this on LinkedIn and see very fast results due to the amount of volume that we can squeeze into a campaign. I'm going to explain to you what this is. So instead of waiting on leads to accept our connection request, which will typically be, your network will typically grow by anywhere from 5 to 15 connections per day, we can actually use LinkedIn Sales Navigator emails. Now, this is where the perception of most gets skewed. You're probably listening to this thinking, oh yeah, I can do LinkedIn Sales Navigator emails, but I get 50 credits a month. They advertise this. LinkedIn advertise 50 credits per month with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. But what they don't say is that this is exclusively to closed profiles. Around 60% of profiles on LinkedIn are actually open profiles. What does it mean to target open profiles? With open profiles, there's no limit. You don't need a credit to reach out to them. So you can actually send anywhere from 800 to 1,000 emails per month. This is what we do, and we have multiple accounts that do this. So this breeds very fast results, booking us around 8 calls per day. Right, so instead of relying on those who we connect with to reply, that maybe would book 1 call a day for us. We max out the sending capabilities to send as many emails to open profiles as possible. If you need to get LinkedIn Sales Navigator subscription, we can give it to you for $50 per month, which is cheaper than LinkedIn because we have enterprise plans. So one thing you need to do is obviously identify open profiles. So we're skipping around a little bit here, but we want to build the list, right? So once you have a list of profiles that you can target on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we need to obviously find the ones that are open and then send messages to those. So I've got Sales Navigator open here. I'm just going to show you how to build a list. There's some fundamentals we've got when building any list, which are here. So what we want to do with building any list is find those who are active on LinkedIn, find those who have changed jobs in the last 90 days and target those with a profile picture. That will just make response rates and meeting booking rates really, really high. So whatever industry we target, we want to hit those benchmarks. But let's say we just want to build up some filters here, right? So what I'd typically start with is industry. Let's say I want to target construction. Let's say I just want to go for everywhere in North America. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. North America. And let's say I want to target CEOs. Okay. So I've got a lot of them. Let's filter it down a little bit more. Let's do it off company size, company headcount, let's say 1 to 10. Small construction CEOs, got 19,000 of them. Now, what we can do is start to message these folks. So you can see that I've used all of my credits up.
I've used all of my credits. However, I can still send messages to open profiles. So all you need to do is go through one by one, click on this message icon, and it will come up, and we'll put in our message here. As I've said in this document, go out with a pretty direct outreach script, but because of how much we can do, we'll get responses very, very quickly, right? So I didn't put the other filters on, but I can show you what they look like. So because these are CEOs, I wouldn't necessarily say we need to do change jobs. But if we've done the ones that have posted on LinkedIn in the last 90 days or 30 days, they're going to be way more active, right? You can see all of these have profile pictures as well, so they're good targets. So what I'll do is just type in our message, hey, Orlando, right? We'd want to have a template for this and just change out the name. So it could be, hey, Orlando, just wondered if you're still hiring for, or just wondered if you were interested in seeing a player candidate we've got in New York. It would be great, you know, they're looking for new opportunities and it'd be great potentially to put you in touch, right? And we could send that off. Now, once again, it doesn't have to be a really long personalized message. It can be pretty basic, but all we want to do is just focus on volume here. So boom, we'd message Orlando. Then we would go straight to the next one, see if it's open profile. Now, as you get Sales Navigator for the first time, you will be able to use your credits. So you will be able to reach out to these people. But as you use all your credits up, then it will just be to open profiles. Okay, so I can send another one here. So that'd be 2. And I'll just keep going until I hit around 80 to 100. That's usually the typical rough limit per day on Sales Navigator. There is no limit, but LinkedIn will start to basically say you can't send as many messages. Okay, if it knows you're sending loads within a short time frame. So this is effectively it. It's like growth hacking LinkedIn because we're just bypassing the limits to some degree. This is not putting your account to harm at all. It's within the limits of LinkedIn. It's just pushing it to what's capable. Okay. The only drawback is this is a tedious task. This is truly tedious. I say that not that you shouldn't do it, but it's literally you just have to go through one by one, message every single one by one, because automation cannot do this. Automation cannot do this. This is why it works so well, because everyone's relying on automations to work. But if you do it manually, you can bypass and do 10 times as much volume and genuinely book in 10 times as many calls within a given time period. Okay, so this is a perfect task for your BDR, SDR, or VA. I've got a SOP for a VA that you can follow. We use VAs to do this. I've got 2 that manage around 8 accounts, and they just do this all day, every day. They just send messages to open profiles, and it gets great results, honestly. Like booking, as I mentioned, 8 calls a day, 5 to 8 calls a day minimum. So this can be exactly the same for you. Instead of relying on the automations only, if you really want to expedite stuff and get quick results in very, very fast, this is how we do it on Sales Navigator. So put your filters in, make sure we're going after active profiles, and get your BDR or your VA to just target the open profiles. Send your message, boom, there's another one. And then straight on to the next, 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 and get them to do it for around 2 hours. Then you would have sent around 100 messages, and within a day, you'll be seeing probably on average 10 to 15 responses, 3 to 5 would be interested. So you can book calls extremely quickly with this method, and it's something that genuinely not a lot of people are doing because of the manual intervention required. But if we have our VAs doing this for $3, $4, $5 an hour, then it allows you to, still get the same results without having to pay for automation. All you've got to do is cover the cost of a very cost-effective virtual assistant or your BDR, and they will be generating the results for you. But the key here is just pump out volume on Sales Navigator. It will work. So let's get some fast results in. Let's get some quick wins in. That's how we do it. The VAs will be trained on how to do this. So if you're using a VA from us, then they'll be starting on this straight away. But I hope this video has been insightful. And if you need that LinkedIn Sales Navigator subscription, then contact us and we'll get it sorted for you for a discount. Okay, so this is going to be an SOP video of how to find mobile numbers from LinkedIn URLs. So say, for example, we want to do a cold call campaign or an SMS campaign. This is how you are going to find SMS mobile numbers that we can verify and then actually use for outreach, right? So you're either going to want to start with Apollo or LinkedIn. I recommend starting with Apollo. Go to people, and we want to build a list. So I'll give you access to my Apollo account. We don't need to export anything from here. We just need to scrape this. So you need to open it on Google Chrome, log into my Apollo, right? Build your list. So say, for example, we want to reach out to CEOs, founders, owners. Then you put that in the job title. You want to put location. For this, put United States. We want to put the company size.
maybe 10 to 20 is a good size, but you decide this. We want to put the industry. So if we want to reach out to staffing and recruiting companies, we put staffing and recruiting. If we want to reach out to management consulting companies, we put management consulting, right? So just build a basic list like this, as I've done. You can see I've got 2.4 thousand results. You want to keep your results in the region of 2,000. The reason being is the way we're going to get these LinkedIn URLs is actually from a Chrome extension called Instant Data Scraper. So if you don't have this, you need to download this Chrome extension. It's completely free. Just type in Instant Data Scraper Chrome extension download on Google Chrome and download it, right? So now you have that. It will take all of this data, and you can see one of the columns we've got is a LinkedIn URL, right? You just need to locate the next button. So press this and press on the next button, make it green, obviously, as I've already done. Go back to the tab for Instant Data Scraper and press start crawling. Now you just need to keep your hands off until it's done all of it. Obviously I'm on page 95, so of course it won't work. I need to change this to something like 29, for example. Obviously you want to start from page 1. I've already scraped this though. So if I press start crawling, it will start, once again, hands off completely. It's going to scrape all of this data, and we're going to have a big list of LinkedIn URLs. Right, from here, you want to export this CSV. So once it's done the whole list, it's scraped it all, just press this CSV button, download it, and then you want to put it into a Google Sheet. So if I open up my Google Sheets, you can see this is exactly what I've been doing with the management consulting firms, which is who I'm reaching out to on LinkedIn at the moment. So you can see management consulting. And this is a scrape that I literally done today, 13th of Jan. You can see that, right? So it's got all of these LinkedIn URLs. We've got 1,837. What you need to do is now just build a new tab. So just press this new tab button. I'm going to call it numbers. And we need to have just one column, which is just the LinkedIn URLs. The reason being, for the next tool we use, it needs to just be the LinkedIn URL. So not even a title, just the LinkedIn URL like this, right? We can have up to 5,000 per import from the enrichment tool we use, which is actually LeadRocks. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some more. Obviously, it's more efficient to do it all at once if you can do it, right? So I've got this one. Let's delete this. So that's taking us up to 3,000. Let's add some more. Obviously, you won't need to do this because this will just be one list for you. But you do need to make this a new tab and just make sure it's only got the LinkedIn URL in here. Okay, so there was a problem. Did something go wrong? Nope, looks all good to me. 4.2K, so I'm going to leave it at this. Right, so we've got 4,200 LinkedIn URLs of contacts that we want to reach out to. From here, you just want to download this as a CSV. Okay, it's just one column of all LinkedIn URLs. Then what we want to do is go to leadrocks.io. Okay, I once again will give you access to this through my account. So the email you want to enter is harry@hlmarketing.com. Or if someone else is watching this, then put your own email and create a LeadRocks account. You'll then get a PIN code. Okay, so I got my PIN, I uploaded it in, and now we're in LeadRocks. So what you want to do is in LeadRocks, go to enrichment, the second one along at the top. Click the CSV with the LinkedIn URL, so press this, then obviously click the CSV that we literally just exported. Now press start enrichment. Now we just need to wait for it to get all of these numbers for us so that we can use this to actually do the outreach.
Hello and welcome to this section of the Acquired Build and Release program. So this is going to be discussing content. Now, this is something that I believe a lot of recruiters don't actually utilize to the fullest extent. You might find it a bit cringy and things on LinkedIn, but fundamentally it's going to make your business perform better. That's just the truth. So we need to get over that hurdle and we need to get you starting to create some content, right? The reason for that is leverage, right? Content allows you to sell one to many, aka get in front of a lot of people without messaging them one-to-one or getting in front of them one-to-one, right? So we're doing the one-to-one stuff, the cold outbound, we're getting in front of the right targeted leads. However, if we want to actually truly achieve high volumes of scale, then what we need to start focusing on is content as well, right? And getting the name out there.
Because it also has the impact of building trust, right? If we produce more content, people spend more time with us. This is the way things are going now. It's very unusual, but the more time we spend with someone online, we feel like we know them better. It's just the truth. And if there's two people that are in the same position offering similar sort of candidates, and you have a stronger relationship or bond with one of them, which is usually why networking works, you're going to pick that person. We can achieve the same thing with content, okay? Most recruiters are in the boat where they don't have any content online. Because if I had zero content online, would you actually trust me? Probably less, right? No one knows about who a lot of the recruiters are, so let's seize this opportunity to actually make an impact, you know? So the fundamentals are that in a less saturated market like recruitment, in terms of content that is, not many recruiters are publishing loads of content. You might see it on LinkedIn, it's probably just a select few people who are doing this. We believe that for content, the more we can put out, the better. Of course, quality is absolutely crucial because this reflects your brand, but you should be looking to provide value in the wording you use as opposed to just the production levels. So it doesn't need to be a crazy production thing, and that's why we say more is better in terms of you don't need to wait once a month to have a studio set apart, have the right lighting, all of this. Just you speaking and honestly just videoing yourself on your phone will get you very, very far. There's people who've grown multi-seven-figure businesses just doing that and posting on YouTube, for example. So we've created a structure that you can follow if you're going to stay consistent. We recommend posting 5 times per week. I know that's significant, but there's a way that we can do this with only spending about 60 minutes a week on content. Here's the calendar content for LinkedIn that we would recommend you use. Of course, you can make some changes to this, and we've got a list of 100 content ideas later on in this that you can use as well. But something that we might recommend is starting off the week with a market insight report. So how many jobs have been open? What's the current state of the market? This is really just to appeal to the hiring managers and your target audience to make sure they see that you understand the market, right? Tuesday can be like a candidate transformation story. So online, in terms of content, it took me a long time to figure this out, but storytelling and telling the story is going to be so much more effective than any other form of marketing. Like if you create a pretty post on Canva and put it on LinkedIn, unfortunately, it might sound harsh, but no one's going to pay attention. If you tell a true story, either about yourself or one of your candidates, that maybe something that transformed their lives, it's really going to make a difference. Like I know one of our clients started placing HVAC technicians, HVAC technicians, and he told me when we were on a call that this particular person was either just had been graduated and they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do. They were in a bit of a tough situation. They wanted to look after their family, and this role would allow them to do that, right? And when they got placed, it allowed them to look after their family. And that's something you can write about, and that's something that's obviously going to be heartfelt and will expand your audience, and it will attract more candidates and more clients. It truly will. So speaking about stories and transformations is really important. You shouldn't feel, cringe for doing that. On Wednesday, we like to have a value post. So this is more about your process or even your transformation, but make it valuable. Like what's something that someone can take away from watching or reading that post? Like what are they going to learn about it? So this needs to be very value orientated. So for us, we do posts on how to actually create an outbound campaign. Like that would be useful. So maybe it's something candidate related, but just try and make it as valuable as possible. On Thursday, if you can get interviews, these will just perform incredibly well. If you can interview your candidates and just talk about your experience with them, that would be amazing. Alternatively, if you don't have that, we'll just do another value post. Just provide value to your audience. What hiring manager is struggling with? What is your target audience struggling with? And how can you solve this problem? If you're not sure how to do it, ask ChatGPT and get it to give you some ideas. It really can be like that for content. And on Friday, we like to do sort of a results showcasing on Friday with a call to action. So like, this is what we've been able to achieve for XYZ. DM me if you need help. Client interviews will absolutely crush it. As we mentioned in the sales asset module, if you don't have that, not a problem, but just try and leverage some sort of client results or some past results you've had. Even if they were years ago, just include, results on the Friday if you can with a call to action. Of course, remember to add your own spin to these. Don't be afraid to post pictures of yourself and your team. As a recruiter, you're promoting effectively culture fits, right? So you want your candidates to be able to resonate with you and see your future as well. So of course, you just want to make this as human as possible. It's not like we're just pumping out ChatGPT content. We can use it to help us get some ideas, but the more you can post yourself, even if it's just a ChatGPT post with a picture of you, it will perform better. because pictures of yourself, your stories will always perform well. People buy from people, you know this, right? And this is what and personal brands are a big thing now. So it doesn't have to be all about you. I know a lot of you watching this or reading this, if you're reading this document, you won't want to do that. You won't want to make it all about yourself, but incorporating storytelling will spread your message 10 times further and make people actually listen. Before I was doing storytelling in my posts, they were getting absolutely no traction. I was just so frustrated. I'd put stuff up there, 1-2 likes, and I was just thinking, what's going on? I'm putting all this effort in. As soon as I started incorporating storytelling, it actually just skyrocketed my posts. People were able to resonate with me. I was able to get more clients. I was able to nurture people better. I was actually able to network better, right? And that, what I just said there, is an example of a story as well. It's a storytelling about storytelling. But it just, instead of just saying use storytelling in your post to get more clients, no one's going to listen to that. But if you incorporate a story in it, like I just did, it spreads the message much further, right? Now, you don't need to create loads and loads of content. All you need to do is create these 5 things every week, and we can repurpose them onto other social channels. Genuinely, the more social channels you put on, the further your message will go. You shouldn't be worried about people commenting stuff and things like this. Just get yourself out there. Instagram is a huge opportunity for recruiters now in terms of candidate sourcing. I actually done a podcast with a Dubai recruiter called Recruiter Cam, and he said that Instagram is the biggest opportunity at the moment for candidate sourcing because not many recruiters are doing it, and it's quite easy to get a personal brand on there because not many recruiters stand out. So this will help you attract much higher quality talent. And honestly, if you're hiring potentially younger people, there's going to be a lot of them on Instagram, okay? And they'll be more comfortable there as opposed to LinkedIn. Facebook groups, if you can find Facebook groups full of your dream clients, then that will be an absolute gold mine. So say, for example, I go onto Facebook right now, and let's say, just for the sake of the example I went on earlier, we're looking at HVAC technicians. So if I type in HVAC in here, let's just go to the top one, HVAC contractors of Houston, residential and commercial. So this could be full of candidates, but it might also be full of clients as well, right? Either way, if we want to post stuff in here, it will be valuable. We can also, of course, add all of these contacts and message them, but that's quite low leverage. You'd probably want a virtual assistant to do that. But if you just create a post around, hey, I've got a new opportunity, or looking for, XYZ candidate, and you put it in here, you'll get a lot of responses. And this is something that not a lot of people are doing. So have a look at Facebook groups. It's quite an untapped niche. YouTube is also going to be super valuable. So if you're recording short form posts, just get them on YouTube, because there's no negative of it. It doesn't take you any longer with the tool that we use that I'll show you. It doesn't take you any longer to schedule this in, and it'll just get your name out there. It'll build more trust, and you never know, you'll get leads from YouTube. I have maybe 300 subscribers at the time of recording this video, and I've closed multiple clients from it. So you don't need a big following whatsoever. But something that you can post on YouTube if you want to are podcasts. This is a whole nother sort of topic for itself, but this is immensely valuable, and this is what some of the big players are doing. If you're a recruiter, you may know the likes of Donny Gups and people like that. What they're pushing at the moment is podcasting for business development. You may have seen it. Now, effectively, this will be how to create an authority for your name in the space, because this can work twofold for business development, okay? Not only are you trusted more, and it will actually warm up your prospects because you're interviewing people. Podcast just, associates usually your name with something a bit more... usually associates your name with something a bit more sort of successful, or a bit more, of an authority figure. But it also can be used for business development. So you can ask your dream clients to come on your podcast. So earlier in this program, you would have built a list of a dream 100 clients. And these are ones you really want to get. You won't just write the same old message for everyone. For these dream 100 clients, we'll go above and beyond. And what we can typically do is ask them to be on our podcast. Now, of course, you might be thinking, how on earth am I going to convert that into a client? Now, if you're a good recruiter, and a lot of you will be watching this video, I know it only takes a few conversations with you and the right person to make something happen. And inviting someone to a podcast is a great way to do that. Okay, so here's actually how to find guests for your podcasts and how to effectively record your podcast. I've got another document here. You don't need a fancy setup. You don't need a microphone. You don't need any of that. You probably are thinking that right now. I need to hire a studio. No, you don't. A lot of my podcasts are recorded on a platform called Riverside FM. Pay about $30 a month, and you can produce great podcasts.
Okay, to get guests on podcasts, all you need to do is reach out and we can help you set up a campaign for this and say, hey, name may have a podcast / interview opportunity for you. And then we would add social proof about ourselves. So if it's me, I'd say we've helped recruiters close over $1 million worth of contracts in the last year. And we want to basically share insights with yourself of how you can help expedite this, right? We've got 10,000 followers on LinkedIn and we'd love to get you out to our audience. Then we can say we'd even be happy to take care of production costs and create content for you that you can post. We can help with this in the back end. We've got content partners that can help us with this, and just ask, would that be of value to you? You send this out to 10 people, you probably get 4 or 5 responses, and quite a few will be interested in doing it. It really won't be hard to set these podcasts up, right? So in terms of actually creating your podcast, of course you need to give it a name. And basically what I like to do is break every single episode down into around 10 questions that you can share with the guest before they join. You can either do this weekly, you can do it monthly, whatever interval that works for you, but it's important to stay consistent. It's better to do 1 to 2 podcasts per month over the course of 12 months than just doing 20 podcasts in the space of 2 months and forgetting about it. Because you'll grow many more meaningful relationships and gain a greater audience, and your business development will work much better. Okay? The flow of the podcast is usually just a conversation. So I list 10 questions down that we can use as rough guidelines if we get stuck or anything like that. But usually it's just going off a script and having a normal conversation about their current pain points, what opportunities they see, and just talking about that. If you want to use it as a business development tool, keep it around their pain points and try and extract what they're struggling with. Then after the podcast, you can say, you know what? It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I've thought of a couple of things that might be able to help you. Just wondered if I could share them, right? And create a tailored game plan for that prospective client after you've asked the questions on the podcast about what they're struggling with. But most importantly, remember, you're not going to be a superstar at this overnight. We can edit out all the parts you don't like. If you mutter your words, if you're nervous, if you have a long break, a long pause in it, we can edit this out. That's the beauty of doing things online now. It's not live. So don't be afraid of doing this. It will be well worth it, okay? Podcasts can be amazing. So once you have your content, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's just a post you've written, maybe it's one of these ones that I've given you ideas of, what you want to do is not spend 30 minutes every day creating posts. This will not be a good use of your time. So what I do is I actually block all of my weekly content into one 60 to 90 minute session a week. So Monday morning, first thing, I get this out of the way before I usually start, let's say about 8:30 in the morning. I know it'll be finished by around 10. I use a tool called Metricool, which you can get for around $15, maybe $20 per month. And what this will do is schedule all your posts. So we spend that Monday morning or Saturday morning, whenever you want to do this, creating all your posts for the week, and you simply put them in the schedule on Metricool. So if I actually log into my account, I'll show you exactly how this works. So I log in, and there's something called a template or a planner, I believe. And we can, let's not worry about that. So it's called planning, right? So you can see my social accounts are hooked up here. And if I go to planning, I can simply just create all of the posts that I want to, add an image if I want to, add a video if I want to, and choose the right channels. So I can post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, any of these social channels. I can pick the time and date that I want it to go live, and just leave it to go live. So you only need to worry about this once a week, maybe even once every 2 weeks if you want to get loads done, and just let the content publish itself. Don't be afraid of content as well. You're going to start second guessing it. Just put it out there. It's not going to be as bad as you think. If you're really struggling with ideas, you can use ChatGPT, of course, and you can actually get ChatGPT to create images if you give it a prompt. But I've created a list for you of 100 post ideas that you can use. 100 there, and some frameworks. So frameworks will be mainly talking about your transformations and your storytelling, because as mentioned before, this will be way more impactful and will resonate much better with your audience. So I've given 5 frameworks that you can use. Make these your own, put in the things that you've done, what the outcome was, what the lesson you learnt was. This is more about yourself, but also providing value to your audience, so they'll do very well. Another thing that can also do very well is LinkedIn newsletters that you can do 2 to 3 times per week. So instead of just doing a normal piece of content on Metricool where you could upload it, you could just do a LinkedIn newsletter. We honestly get ChatGPT to write a lot of ours for us, but we were getting 1 to 3 leads per week in the early days of doing this when I only had maybe 400 followers on the newsletter page, which took around a couple of months to build up.
So they're very powerful. If you can include a call to action at the bottom, it will work. I've included some examples of some of our newsletters so you can have a look at them, see what sort of framework we use. You can even just copy this, put it into ChatGPT and ask it to write something of your own, of course, about your recruitment process rather than lead generation. But LinkedIn newsletters will work very well, and you can actually schedule them on LinkedIn itself. Give me a message on Slack if you're not quite sure on how to do that, but it should be nice and straightforward. Now, we also have a little bonus here for content in terms of if you want to take this the extra step. This would be an add-on, and we've got a partner that can help us do this, but we can get you in publications. So, for example, sometimes just the person with the most authority will win the contract and get the most attention, online and the most traffic. So this will help you acquire not only the best clients, but the best candidates too. We can actually get you in articles of Forbes, CEO Weekly, all of these business sort of publications. We can get you into them, absolutely no problem. We have a partner that helps us with this. So if that is of interest to you, and this isn't just trying to sell you more, but just this can make a profound impact, then email me and we'll see the best sort of package that we can do depending on how many articles you want. But of course, this is a bonus. And getting you into Forbes, we wouldn't be able to do that for absolutely everyone, as you can probably imagine. But should you want to do that, we can definitely help you with that. So just give me a PR inquiry if you think that'd be useful. But hopefully this content module has helped. We're here to help you with this content. We're here to hold your hand with absolutely everything. We know this can have a profound impact. So just stick to this content calendar and let's see in the next few weeks what we can make happen. So as you can see, over the last 365 days, my content has had 289,000 impressions, reaching almost 70,000 LinkedIn members. And the crazy part is most of this was actually AI generated, or at least enhanced with AI. So I didn't really spend much time creating any of this, and this generated numerous leads for me. I can't say exactly how many, as they were all inbound. I don't know if some came from YouTube and then onto LinkedIn. Well in excess of 50 plus sales calls from this over the last year that have obviously turned into clients and generated me revenue. Now, this was a very, very low energy thing to do, to actually use AI to create the content. I'm going to show you step by step in this video exactly how you can do the same, and why I think AI powered content creation for LinkedIn, blogs and articles is going to be a game changer for 2025, especially for lead gen, for recruitment agencies if you're not doing this already. Okay, so in this module, we're going to explore how to create LinkedIn posts that actually engage and convert, how to use AI to generate blog posts and articles, and how to optimize AI-generated content for SEO. Because I know what you're thinking. This is what I was thinking when I first came across AI creating content. I thought it was super obvious that there's some people creating content with ChatGPT and it reads like AI. And you've also got people commenting on LinkedIn and it's clearly AI. It doesn't always give off the best impression. So there's going to be a mix of both worlds. You're always going to want to do some things yourself, or at least reread it, right, and make some changes yourself. But the goal of this is not to solely rely on AI, it's to use it to empower your business development strategy, to save you a lot of time and hopefully save you money by not hiring a copywriter or maybe even a content strategist or manager, and to just use AI for that job, right? With any employee, they're going to probably do 70% of the work correctly and you're going to have to fill in the blanks. It's exactly the same with this. If you rely on it 100%, the same as if you rely on a new employee 100%, it's not going to give you the best end outcome in the world, right? It's still going to be good, but it's not going to be the best in the world. So let's look at this. Let's start by this. So you want to define, obviously, your content goals. Every strategy needs an outcome before we actually start the strategy, right? So you need to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to build thought leadership, share insights, trends, and expertise? Do you want to drive engagement? And do you want to generate leads? These are the main three that you can have that I would recommend, right, for your goals. To build thought leadership so you're actually seen as a leader in your space, to drive engagement through these posts. They're not just there to look pretty, right? We want to drive engagement and actually get people to speak about them and create conversation. And then of course, at the end of the day, we do want these to generate leads and generate revenue because they can, right? So what we can actually do is use AI and just a simple ChatGPT to generate LinkedIn content. You can also use other AIs such as Claude, right? So Claude AI is going to be a good one as well. So Claude AI, as well as Perplexity. So Perplexity and Claude are basically like substitutes for ChatGPT. I would recommend looking at all of these and seeing which one works for you best. For now, I'm just going to give the examples in ChatGPT as that's what most people are familiar with, right? So here's like a prompt example that we could use. So let's just copy and paste this in. So you can do the same. You can obviously put this in, and then you can have a conversation with AI to basically optimize these posts, right? So say, for example, generate 10 LinkedIn post ideas for a recruitment agency targeting hiring managers in tech companies, focus on solving hiring challenges and showcasing expertise. If you're not in the tech industry, you obviously need to change that. So tailor this to yourself. But it's already given me 10 ideas, okay? Really simple like that. Even if it's just an idea generation thing and I go ahead and write these articles myself, this will still save you time and it's still a net benefit because this is free to use, completely free. So I really think you should be using this, right? So you can see some of the outputs it's giving me, right? Why top tech talent, easy for me to say, isn't responding to your job postings. Could be an interesting article or something to post on LinkedIn, right? Because that could be a pain point for hiring managers, of course. And then obviously you can create, and then of course from there you can actually create the post. So this is the idea, then we want to create the post. So let's say, for example, I really like the idea number 1, help me write an actual LinkedIn article using point 1, please. But don't sound too much like AI. Right? I put funny stuff like this in, it just makes it understands my tonality. But you can obviously put in your own like prompt as well. So let's see what it's come back with. Already in seconds, I've got a big post. This is a very big post. So I'm going to say already, please make it much shorter and more concise. This is just a post. Should read when on the move. So I've asked it to make it, please make it much shorter and more concise, as this is just a post someone should read when they're on the move. Like, I don't want them to sit down and have to write read a full essay. This could be good for, let's try this again. For some reason that didn't work, maybe it's my internet. This could be good for an actual article, right? Like something I want to post on my LinkedIn, on my website. But for a LinkedIn post, this could be good, right? Struggling to attract top tech talent. Here's why your job posting might be missing the mark and how to fix them. Generic job descriptions, misaligned language, opaque hiring processes, ignoring passive talent, uncompetitive offers. Boom. You could literally just copy and paste this into your LinkedIn, add a picture of yourself, and it doesn't look so much like it's all AI generated, and that will perform. That will do its job. That will do well, right? Obviously, there's different examples you can put. If you don't like what you're seeing from ChatGPT, just respond to it with a prompt and say, look, I don't like this. It doesn't sound like me. You might think that, so you can put it in. I don't like this. It doesn't sound like me, right? And then it will edit it and try it again. Okay, your job descriptions are boring. It's obviously taken a different approach here. I've realigned the post it says I reworked the post to better align with your tone, clear, direct, and edgy to grab attention. So if you say this is also the wrong tone, I want it more professional, then you can just message that to ChatGPT and it will respond to you the outcome. A bit of a cheat code when it comes to this is to actually customize it yourself, right? Add little personal things that you've noticed or you've done, add little stories, and ChatGPT can weave that in there. Because a lot of the times what makes your most successful post perform, like if you see my very most successful post, it was a story about myself, how I moved to Dubai, right? So stories always sell, stories always do the best. It doesn't mean I got the most leads from this, I just got the most engagement. So leads and engagement are two different things, but at the end of the day, you want both. So if you can, tell ChatGPT some personal experiences you've had, and it can create posts from that. So instead of you having to think about how you can write it in this best specific way, just tell it all of your experiences you've had in that field. And you can even, to save time, speak it, right? So it should have a microphone option. I don't think mine's appearing. Actually, I think it's this. Yeah, use voice mode. You can speak to ChatGPT as well to save time. Just tell it, look, these have been my experiences in the hiring process with this company, or this is what I've noticed. Please help me create LinkedIn posts around this. Okay? And it will be more tailored, specific posts, not as generic for yourself.
Okay, so once you've got that, you've got the body of the content, you might not like the format of it. You can obviously use a prompt as well to rewrite this post to include a hook, body, and a strong call to action. So you can change the format of the post. You can do whatever you want in these prompts. These are just guidelines of how I would do it if I was you and what's worked for me. And of course, storytelling has worked really well as well. So it's not always just value driven. It's not always just post about value, post about trends, post about insights, post about reports. It's also posting about yourself, which obviously cannot really be replicated by AI. You can get AI to give you ideas. If you're not sure about what to write about yourself, which is probably the bucket that most people are in, you can say, look, ChatGPT, I want to write a LinkedIn post about myself. Give me some ideas, and it will give you a bunch of ideas, right? Obviously, you can tell it your own story as well, and it can help you. But oftentimes, storytelling posts about yourself, your wins, your challenges, your lessons, can perform the most successfully, especially if you put a picture of yourself. Most people don't want to do that, but I've noticed that by far, all of the best performing posts that I've had, if I have a look at it, I've had a picture of myself in here, right? Picture, 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 picture. It's no coincidence. It's people want to be able to relate with the person posting the content, right? If they relate with you more, they'll engage with it more and they'll trust you more. So if you have pictures in there, that obviously really helps. Not AI generated pictures, although AI can do that. I would usually put pictures of yourself, right? Obviously you have the same for thought leadership, for lead gen, all sorts of different posts. For lead generation, I would usually do a lead magnet, right? So if I just put in here, lead magnet, this is what AI has done. It said, write a LinkedIn post offering a free consultation that helps companies struggling with hiring challenges. So if I just copy and paste this into ChatGPT, the reason this is a lead magnet is we're offering something for free in return for leads, right? And that will hopefully win us business once we've won trust with these people. So let me just close this if I can. I'll show you what it looks like. So I actually want it to write a free post. So look, hiring challenges more common than you think. I'm offering a free 30-minute consultation. If you post a lead magnet, you'll definitely get interest. This will get less engagement, less likes, less views, that sort of thing, but it'll get more direct leads. So lead magnets can be a really good way to actually drive leads from your account, and I'd recommend posting them. Now, you've got all sorts, obviously you've got blogs and articles as well. It'll be a very similar way to what we've just done, so I'm not going to go through it step by step again, because you can play around with it. But what we will want to look at is SEO optimization. So as we know, SEO is a big thing. It will help us attract inbound leads if we're posting content. So we can actually SEO optimize our AI content as well. Now, we can use tools like Surf SEO and ClearScope to do this. However, you can also ask AI. So you can say, suggest SEO keywords for a blog titled The Ultimate Guide to Hiring Engineers in 2025, right? And then we've got these SEO optimized keywords. So that means we can go ahead and say, include more keywords like these that are SEO optimized. So AI will help us understand AI will help us understand what are the SEO optimized keywords, and then we can put more of those in the article, more of those in the blog to help the overall performance, right? So AI will actually help us with that. And then what we can do is once we have a blog, an article, or a LinkedIn post, you can repurpose it. Say you've written your own ones. That's a great place to start, right? Say you've written your own LinkedIn post before. That is a great place to start. Fuck off. Say you've written your own... Nah, bro. So say you've written your own LinkedIn post before and you've actually spent time doing this, that is a great place to start. You can literally just copy and paste that post into ChatGPT and say, repurpose this into a blog, into an article, into a new LinkedIn post using this like category, or using this using this style or using this topic, right? So you don't have to create it from scratch completely. You can use pre-existing things, or even competitors, actually. Obviously, you need to repurpose it enough to the point where it's not exactly the same, but it can be a source of inspiration. That's what you can do, right? So AI can really help you just churn out more content without having to put the mental energy and the time into actually doing it, right? So that's a few examples of what AI's output for me, and that's how I would use it. The SEO optimization is really nice and simple. Just basically prompt it to make it more SEO optimized, and then that will help you get more leads in the long run through your website and through your inbound sort of traffic and through your inbound content. And that's what I would do. AI content creation, I think it's going to be a huge thing. Obviously, if you make it too AI generated and it sounds just like AI, then people may pick up on that. But in reality, AI is getting so advanced now that you can't really tell the difference for the most part, right? Especially if you talk to AI for a little bit and train it on your tonality, most people will not be able to tell the difference. And in general, I think AI looks very professional in most of the posts that I've seen that are clearly AI generated, right? So give that a go, play around with ChatGPT as well as Claude, as well as Perplexity, and see what content it creates for you and how well it performs on your LinkedIn. But I've been using it for mine for about a year now, and it's been really, really working well. You can see proof is in the pudding from the numbers. All right, if I go back to the graph again, it's really increased over time. See, I think this is just the last 7 days. Even if I go to the last 90 days, right? Even if I go to the last 360 days, you can see over time, it's just and slowly, we've had some spikes, but overall it's been trending in the upward direction, and that's mainly from using AI. So use AI for your content to generate more leads. Put any questions or concerns or anything you've got in the school community, and the community will be able to help. I'll be able to help as well. And if not, I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. If you run an agency or a B2B business and you want to sign more clients, I'm going to explain to you exactly how you can do that in this video. It's not your typical video, right? This isn't just going to be teaching you how to generate more leads through cold email or through LinkedIn, because the premise of this video is that actually your issue isn't lead flow, it's your sales. This is with most B2B businesses, and this is what my agency struggled with for a long time. When we cracked this, we were able to hit 6-figure months and grow like never before. But it all came from actually diving deep on the sales side of things. But it all came from making this mistake. And the mistake was that I was just focusing on lead flow and not sales conversion rate. So let me break this down for you. I'm going to show you examples of 2 agencies. I've run both of these agencies and I know which one I'd rather run now. I was running one of these types of agencies for a very long time. And this might be what your B2B agency or your SMMA would look like, okay? So you've got one agency that's doing 5,000 bits of outreach and one that's doing 500 bits of outreach, right? Obviously, the 5,000 outreach is going to be broader, it's going to be more generic, you're just relying on volume, okay, which isn't a bad thing, you do need to do volume. The other agency is a bit more relevant and it's more multi-channel, actually nurturing these leads. So what will happen with agency 1 is you'll probably book around 30 calls, right? You'll have that sort of conversion rate where you're maybe booking 30 calls from 5,000 outreach, because you'll have an open rate, you have a reply rate. Let's say you have 1% reply rate, that's around 50 replies. And let's say you've got a very good script and you can book around 30 calls for 5,000 bits of outreach, right? That's probably typical if you're running a lead gen agency. If you're running a different type of business, it might be less than this. But nonetheless, it's not going to be more than 30 calls if you're doing it at volume, right? However, obviously, if you do it in a more personalized, relevant way, you can still book around 30 calls. The conversion rate is just going to be much higher. You might email someone and then follow up with them on LinkedIn and then give them a call, okay? It's a fundamentally different process, but you'll book around the same amount of calls. Now, what will happen is you'll get probably around a 65% sharp rate with the agency 1 method, with the volume method, right? Because you're getting some people that are like in real desperate need at the time, but then things change. And also these are people that are replying to a lot of emails as well, because your email isn't that personalized and doesn't stand out that much. So you're booking quite easy calls, I want to say, right? So your show rate would look at something like 65%. And these are all numbers that I had when I was running these methods, okay? Now, if you have a much more targeted, personalized strategy, you would have a slightly higher show rate, right? It would be in the region of around 80%, which is what this would be here. So you would have even more shows
per booked call, right? So that's the first benefit. This is where we start to see the numbers really get different, okay? Because the truth is, it's actually going to take about the same amount of effort to do 5,000 outreach generic as it is 500 outreach relevant and personalized. That's why everyone opts for the 5,000, and that's why I did originally, because you can get more output per unit of time for the actual outreach. But when we look at clients signed, you obviously sign more in the agency 2 method. So from that, around 20 shows, you might have 12 that are qualified. This is actually being generous, right? This is actually being generous because a lot of these calls that will come in from just high volume mass outreach will not be qualified, right? There's 4 bits of qualification that we need to check, and I'll go through that in a second with you. But a lot of these calls will not be qualified. So let's say we have 12 qualified leads. With the much more personalized, relevant outreach method, you'll probably get 20 because we're actually building a qualified list before we're even reaching out to them. But the big difference here is going to be in sales conversion rate, right? Typically, from around 5,000 outreaches, you might be able to expect around 2 closes with just volume because they haven't really got that much of a need. They're taking loads of other calls. It's not really personal to them. You know, you're just trying to basically close it off luck, really, right? Whereas close rate on this method would be around 30%, right? So we're looking at around 16% on one method and about 30% on the other method. So big difference, big difference. And for the same unit of, time and energy put into 5,000 outreach versus 500 outreach, you see we can have a big difference in how many closes, how many clients you can actually close. You see there's a big difference in how many clients you can actually close, right? That's just at a surface level. Now, if you go a bit deeper, I'm going to explain to you even more reasons why this agency 2 method, making things more relevant, multi-channel and personalized, are even more important because it's more than just closing more clients. Actually, what you'll find is if you do this, your clients will stay with you for longer and you have better expectations from the offset. I noticed this once again myself because I was agency 1 for a long time and I scaled this way. I just started sending more and more and more and more emails and I hit $50,000 months with this method, right? But they didn't last. The $50,000 months didn't last. I would lose clients because the expectations weren't set right. I couldn't hit that sort of volume every single month. It just came with a bunch of issues. And if my market ran out of leads, what was I going to do next? I can't just go into a brand new market because I don't have case studies there. It's just very difficult, right? What everyone misses out is that qualification and framing is one of the biggest things in B2B sales. And this is the reason why this first method didn't actually work, why just going after more and more volume all the time didn't work, because qualification is so important. When you're qualifying leads, you want to make sure they're qualified in 4 criteria. BANT, right? Which is budget, authority, need, and timeline. You need to qualify before you take the sales call if they have the budget. Because if you don't do this, you're just going to waste your time speaking to business owners who have no money, no intention of buying. Like, all the gurus will tell you to not say the price before you jump on the call and try and pitch them on the call, but it sets the wrong expectations. And you can only really do that in a B2C sense. In B2B, it's a logical sale. You need to give them more information. Information will help them make the sale. So always qualify for budget. If they don't have the budget, then don't take the call. Focus on people who do have the budget. It's as simple as that. Yes, you'll book less calls, but the thing is you'll actually close more overall. This is the mindset shift you need to happen. Yes, you need to be willing to take less calls, but those calls will be higher quality and genuinely be better clients, and you'll collect more cash. It's a big difference. So it's not always just constantly about more sales calls in the calendar. It's about the right sales calls. So they need to be qualified for budget. They need to be qualified for authority. Is this person the one person making the decision in the company? If it's not, don't take the call. Same thing for need. Do they actually have a need for this right now? Okay, you can ask them this either in a Calendly questionnaire, you can ask them this through the DMs if that's where you're setting, you can ask this on the phone if you have a phone call setter, but you need to ask for all of these 4 things. So do they actually have a need right now? If not, once again, don't take the call. And timeline, is this something they're looking at implementing within the next 30 days? If it's not, don't take the call. So you can see we're saying no to calls here, which might seem odd because you're effectively saying no to some clients. But what's going to happen is, once again, you're going to get better clients and you're going to make more money. I can guarantee it because this is what's happened, right? Another thing is that it's actually all in the framing, right? First impressions count. And if you're reaching out to someone for the first time And we're all going to be in business for a very long time. So you're going to reach out to the whole market eventually. Would you rather do it in the shortest, scrappiest way possible, or actually try and build a relationship with them? For everyone watching this, I'm sure you'd rather actually try and build a relationship with them rather than just try and get in front of them as soon as physically possible, right? So that's another benefit of using this second method, is that you're not wasting that chance of first impressions, right? Because people are seeing your name, and if it's not coming across and portraying your company in the best way, it could be a detriment in the future, right? I don't think it could be a detriment in the future. So you want to make sure you're reaching out with the highest chance of conversion and highest chance of building goodwill in the first place, which is not just spamming the market, it's doing things a bit more targeted and personalized. The way I do this is actually using a tool called Clay. Clay is fantastic at basically qualifying leads, seeing what companies actually fit certain criteria you want to work with. You can enrich to find the correct contacts. I've got tons of videos on my channel and on my company channel if you want to learn more about Clay. But ultimately, you want to build higher quality lists to reach out to, because those first impressions do count, right? And if you only play the volume game, you're going to get lower quality leads and burn through markets. I know this because I reached out to so many people in the market that I work within, and it's made things harder in the longer term, right? Whereas when I've built more core relationships and I've done webinars and I've done networking, yes, it's slower. Yes, it takes longer to get deals across the line. But guess what? Those clients stay for way longer, and then they refer people. And then that's actually how you compound your growth, rather than constantly churning and burning through a whole new market with the high volume approach. So these are the learnings that I've found, right? So to actually truly scale your business over the 6 to 12 months, you need to focus on repeatable relationships, which is going to come from smaller lists and smaller market sizes, but building relationship with them, actually sending something value, not just going for a direct sale all the time, right? And that's ultimately going to mean you're probably going to send less outreach, book less calls, but you want to be in a position where those calls you do take are more qualified and more likely to close, and you're actually going to work with them to help them, right? Final couple things to finish on is that B2B sales is not the same as B2C. And if you're going in the attention on your agency of closing people on call number 1, collecting tons of cash up front, that's not how it works in this market. Everything's built of relationships and value exchanges, right? So you can't look at B2B sales in the lens of B2C. That's why you end up like this, because you just want as much lead flow as possible. You want to have one call, high pressure sales, and try and get them to close. That's not going to work. You need to focus on longer term sales cycles. Sometimes it might take 3 months for the deal to close. When you're working with this person, you're both on the same wavelength. You've both gone through, iterations of getting to learn each other's company, and you've set the foundation for the long term. So you need to focus on longer term sales cycles, which are B2B, right? And obviously this is frustrating. If you're helping clients sign clients, maybe they want results straight away, but you need to educate them on this, that B2B sales takes longer, because it's not B2C, it's B2B, right? And it's a logical sell rather than an emotional one. Businesses specifically will buy from you if the maths adds up, not necessarily what their emotional state is, right? Obviously, sometimes emotion will play into it, but it's more so going to be built on the logical sell, the ROI, the time saved, the cost saved, etc., rather than how much pain they're in at that specific point. Of course, you can leverage that pain and you can use that to help your sales. But the things you really need to focus on are increasing your show-up rate, making your leads more qualified, and making your outreach much more relevant and multi-channel. Instead of just using email, use email, LinkedIn, calling, all for the same list, right? I guarantee if you do this, you'll have a substantial difference in your sales close rate. Because, like I said, the issue usually for most businesses that I see in the B2B space isn't lead flow, it's just your sales process. It's not tight enough. You need to make sure that none of these leads fall out of this process. It's very easy for leads to fall out of this process because it's so just hit and miss. It's just so quick, sending so many emails, right? And you're always constantly uploading new ones. But if you nurture every lead in the pipeline, you're much more likely to get a higher level of closes at the end, higher conversion rate, and for those clients to stay longer because you've set the correct expectations. So hopefully this video helps. If you're running a B2B agency and you're struggling with sales or lead generation, then you can book a call with me directly. But fundamentally, you need to look at this way of thinking. You don't need to focus on constantly getting more leads in. You need to focus on how you can actually change the sales system to convert at a higher rate. Hope this video helps, and I'll see you on the next one.